They'll strengthen.
Tonight, these Broncos begin their quest, and preparing them for their history-making run is Coach Mike Shanahan.
I believe we've got what it takes to go in there and win every game, but it's going to take a team effort with guys really committed and not really swallowing the three-peat type hype.
John Elway's famous number 7 will be retired at halftime tonight when the world champion Denver Broncos face the Miami Dolphins, a matchup of two of the best teams in the NFL. As we start our 30th season of ABC's Monday Night Football.
Well, it's time to blast off and get underway. The NFL's best are ready to play. The fish were squished in Denver last year. The Broncos finished with a Super Bowl cheer. You better be ready. Strap in and hold tight. Miami wants to square it in Mile High tonight. Hit it. Come on and hit it. Come on and get ready. Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party. Yeah, it's a Super Bowl season. 30 years and still rocking. Al and Boomer are set. Crowd is sight. Oh, my rowdy friends are here for Monday night. That's right.
A spectacular night in Denver. Even a hint of fall in the air. Temperature in the mid-60s. Mile High Stadium sold out. The Broncos against the Dolphins. Al Michaels along with Boomer Esiason and Leslie Visser. If this were a carnival tent, there'd be a barker outside who'd be saying right about now, come on in. See if the Broncos can win an unprecedented third straight Super Bowl with a 24-year-old quarterback who's never made a start. Come on in and see the best running back on the planet, Terrell Davis. Come on in and see a quarterback who holds every meaningful career NFL passing record in Dan Marino. You have two coaches who have 4 Super Bowl rings between them. And as a sideshow at halftime, in what's sure to be a memorable and emotional ceremony, John Elway gets his number retired. Apart from that, not a lot happening. Glad you're under the big top tonight. What a night in Denver.
TV feature on your TV set where available. Brought to you by National Car Rental.
Back in Denver, Boomer Esiason could be beginning his 16th season as an NFL quarterback, but Cheryl Esiason, for one, very happy he's starting his 2nd season in the Monday night booth instead. Boomer, quarterbacks, the big story, of course, here in Denver. Elway retires. Mike Shanahan says during the offseason, Bubby Brister's the guy, makes the switch to Brian Griese 10 days ago. What's your take?
Well, all you have to know is that the Denver Bronco offense in preseason under Bubby Brister went sleepwalking through their games. But when Brian Griese hit the field, all of a sudden they started scoring points, Al. And that's what coaches look for. They want to see points on the board, and that's exactly why Brian Griese is playing tonight. Look for Mike Shanahan and get him involved early throwing the ball. Against
a very tough defensive team. Jimmy Johnson retired for about a day or half a day in January, but he's back and he's refreshed, and he's got a team that could wind up in the Super Bowl on January 30th.
Well, he should be refreshed. He has one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time on his roster. He also has one of the best defenses in all of football. This is a team that is built in the Jimmy Johnson mold, not to score a lot of points, but to hold the opposing team down with points. So look for Jimmy Johnson to get those guys flying. He smells blood. He thinks he can win tonight.
And what a win it would be on the road against the Super Bowl champions. Year 30 of Monday Night Football. We begin in a moment.
You to the following presentation of the National Football League.
And great to have back again this year, patrolling the sidelines like none other, Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Al, thank you. And Boomer, there is no place we would rather be. Well, as you guys know, Mike Shanahan has never lost a season opener, but he's never faced one without John Elway. Mike, what gives you confidence that Brian Griese, who's only thrown 3 regular season passes, can defend a Super Bowl champion?
Well, I just like the way he handles himself. He's got a great feel for our offense. He understands defenses. And you take a look what he's done in preseason, how he handles himself in practice. I've just got a lot of confidence in the way he'll go about his business.
In the face of Miami's great defense, virtually a 9-man front, how can you put him in position to succeed?
We're going to have everybody play well. It's just not Brian Griese. The 10 other guys really got to get the job done. They got some great defensive backs. Our wide receivers are going to have to get open, and we're going to have to block them on the line of scrimmage. So it's going to be a team effort.
Well, they do call you the mastermind.
Yeah,
Good
right.
luck to you. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Leslie. Olindo Mare will kick off for Miami. We're going to see Greasy immediately. Chris Watson, a rookie from Eastern Illinois, that's Shanahan's alma mater, will run back kickoffs and punts this year. Flashbulbs popping, and the ball winds up in the end zone, and Denver will take over at the 20-yard line. So here comes Brian Greasy. 2 years ago, led Michigan to a share of the national championship and a Rose Bowl win over Washington State. Played very sparingly last year, a lot in preseason, won the job a week and a half ago. Behind him, the unparalleled one, Terrell Davis out of the backfield. The great blocking back Griffith. Smith and McCaffrey outside. Sharp the tight end. Three great receivers, obviously. Jones, Schlereth, Nalen, Neal, and Lepsis up front. Lepsis, the new guy, replacing the departed Harry Swain. It's a light line and a very quick line. Each of those guys under 300 pounds. That these days is very unusual. And Greasy to throw on first down. And he completes the pass to Sharp. So Mike Shanahan, not being conservative on first down, puts Greasy right into the action with a pass, and it's up to the 25-yard line and a gain of 5. Defensively, Mixon, Bowens, and Gardner great in the middle. Taylor very active on the outside. The linebackers, Rogers, Thomas, and Robert Jones, who played for Jimmy Johnson in Dallas years ago. Buckley and Madison are the corners. Jackson and Marion are the safeties. It's a great defense. The Dolphins last year allowed the fewest points in the league. And Greasy to throw on 2nd and 5. Underneath, it is dropped, and it is a live ball. It is a fumble, and the Dolphins come up with it.
They're saying incomplete pass, and you could see right from the beginning, Mike Shanahan wants to get Brian Greasy involved in the game, get rid of some of those butterflies.
Rod Smith juggling it. The one official who had the better view of it made the call, and he juggled it and dropped it. The head linesman behind him looking at the play as if the pass was completed. Good look here. Very close.
Very close. I don't. Could we have our first challenge of the night?
Well, if he has control of the ball and both feet down, which he appears,
and you're going to have a challenge.
Do. And so right off the bat, we have a coach's challenge, and this is a challenge from Jimmy Johnson. If he wins the challenge, then the pass, of course, the result would be in Miami's favor. Here is Jimmy now explaining to Johnny Greer, the referee, what he is challenging. Greer making the announcement to the crowd.
You can see here Rod Smith has 2 feet down, and it looks like he has possession.
If he has possession and they rule it that way, then it's Miami's ball on the fumble.
Right, it'll be a completed pass and then a fumble.
If they overrule it, if they overrule the challenge, then the play stands. Johnson loses a timeout. So right off the bat, you've got the replay booth up there where the replay people only have control of the game in the last 2 minutes of a half. Apart from that, it's up to the coach. Now, Johnny Greer, supposedly in 90 seconds, is going to go over, review this, perhaps bring in the other official who made the call.
Well, from that angle right there, they have to overturn it. That looks like a good catch to me.
The key here, if you're going to overturn it, does he have possession of the ball and are both feet down? Appears to have it. It's very close. Sam Madison was the guy who recovered the fumble. They may look at this. It's conceivable they'll look at this and say he may not have put the ball away, that he didn't have control of it, because it's rolling around even though it appears that he has possession. And now the question becomes, do they overturn it or sustain it?
In the play, the call on the field stands. It's an incomplete pass.
So Jimmy Johnson loses a timeout. You know, it's that indisputable visual evidence again. You look at it a lot of different ways, and we did, and it's not a really clear-cut call.
And you also have to remember that ultimately Johnny Greer, the official, is making the call. And really, he has to decide whether or not he thinks that it is clear-cut. And I would say by just listening to him there that he probably said, hey, you know what? I can't really tell, so let's leave it the way it is.
It was disputable visual evidence. So instead of an overturn, it's now 3rd and 5 after the incomplete pass. Greasy has thrown on his first 2 plays, and now 3 for 3 here as he throws, and up at the 30-yard line, it is brought in by Ed McCaffrey for a first down.
And you could see the things about Brian Greasy that Mike Shanahan loves. He's sitting in the pocket against a team that has a good pass rush. He feels it, he steps up, and he delivers the football. Actually, Al, on the second play, he changed the play at the line of scrimmage. But look right here, he puts the ball, he's a nice spiral on it, easy catchable ball. He's behind McCaffrey a little bit, but because of the touch, McCaffrey's able to make the catch. 3 in a row. That's getting him involved pretty quickly.
And now the first running play as they finally give the ball to Terrell Davis on their 4th play of this drive. Davis, who rushed for over 2,000 yards last season and has had a spectacular 4 years after being chosen from the University of Georgia in the 6th round in 1995, gains 1 second to 9.
Well, you talk about value. A guy that really, when you look at him, he's 5'11", 210 pounds, but he's so low to the ground. He's so good at breaking tackles and making people miss. And here you go, 5 wide receivers spread out.
2nd and 9. Greasy working out of the shotgun. Davis is one of those receivers who is spread out. Sharp in motion. And with the empty backfield, Greasy throws and hits Byron Chamberlain, the number 3 tight end, for a first down at the 44. With Greasy playing so much on the scout team last year, Chamberlain was part of that scout team. In effect, you might say at this point anyway, Chamberlain is his favorite receiver. He's used to him.
He really is. And one of the things Brian Greasy did in preseason was hit Chamberlain on a touchdown pass when Chamberlain was the 5th progression in his read. And these are the things that Mike Shanahan saw. The way to beat the Miami Dolphins is do that. Spread them out, formation them, and create mismatches.
1st and 10 from the 44. Now Davis, and a great play from the backside by Buckley. Terrell Buckley, the corner, smells it out, comes in from the backside and takes Terrell down in the backfield.
Al, everybody in this league talks about defense and why our defense is so good. Well, the Miami Dolphins are so good defensively because of their speed. They're not very big except for their tackles inside. But you could see Terrell Buckley coming around the corner and making a play and chasing Terrell Davis down.
George Hill is the defensive coordinator. How often would you see a cornerback come into the backfield and tackle a running back for a 5-yard loss?
Well, give credit to George Hill for calling the right defensive play. And there's Dave Wanstead, who I'm sure is helping along a little bit.
The assistant head coach and the former Bear head coach. On 2nd and 15, Greasy's pass is tipped and incomplete. Try to jam it into McCaffrey, and it'll be 3rd down and 15. Coming into tonight, so many contrasts in this game, but here is one. You've got Marino on one side. Take a look at that. Almost 8,000 passes, and coming into the season, Brian had thrown 3, all of them, of course, last year.
Look at that down there. 408 right, Super Bowl. Already won Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Greasy is 3 for his first 5 for 23 yards. Marino awaiting on the Miami sideline as Greasy tries to convert here 3rd and long, 3rd and 15 as he has to reach down for a bad snap. Going deep for McCaffrey, who gets out in front, beats double coverage. McCaffrey to the end zone, touchdown.
So I think Brian Greasy's probably answered all the questions, hasn't he? Oh, man.
With a little help from Sean Wooden and Brock Marion, the 2 safeties. You saw Pat Bolin. Bob Greasy is also here, Brian's dad, and what a way to start.
All you have here is one-on-one down the field, and the safeties are usually thinking that the pass rush is going to get there quicker than it did, and Brock Marion just makes a bad play and overplays Ed McCaffrey, and Brian Greasy, like a 10-year vet, stands back there and lays it out. What a great throw.
Elam for the point after. And there is a flag down. The kick is momentarily good. That's Greasy. That's Bob standing up. We'll get a better shot of him shortly. That was an 84-yard drive. The amazing, an 80-yard drive. It's 80 yards. Greasy threw for 84, and they lost 4 on the ground.
on defense. The extra point is good. We'll penalize on the kickoff.
Jimmy Johnson told us last night that he has to make the quarterback a factor and get Terrell Davis out of the game. I think if I'm Jimmy Johnson, I got to rethink the way that I'm approaching this football game.
Well, the quarterback is an early factor, and it's 7. That's a nice little photo album as Greasy looks at the formations. Gary Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, and there's Bob Greasy and his wife Shay. And, well, you talk about a proud daddy right now.
Oh, boy, what a way to start for Brian Greasy. Terrific.
Now, Elam will kick off after the penalty. The kick is from the 35-yard line, and it's a line drive, and John Avery lets it bounce through the end zone. And Marino will begin his first drive at the 20. So Danny, like John Elway from that brilliant class of '83, begins season number 17 and his 16th consecutive opening day start. Behind him in the backfield, they'll start with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We'll see J.J. Johnson, a rookie, as well. Rob Conrad starts at fullback, a rookie. Martin McDuffie outside, Drayton the tight end. Webb, Dixon, Ruddy, Gogan, a newcomer, and Brown up front. Kevin Gogan, Pro Bowl guard, picked up, and he and Kevin Donnelly will each see a lot of action tonight in the interior line. Here is Abdul-Jabbar picking up a yard and a half. Second down call at 8. Glenn Cadrez makes the tackle. The Denver defense, which shut down Miami in the playoffs last year, Tonavasa, Traylor, Price, and Williams up front. The linebackers, Mobley, Cadrez, and Romanowski. And in the secondary, Crockett and the ex-Chief Dale Carter, their big free agent pickup, Braxton and Brown, are the safeties. Greg Robinson is the defensive coordinator. He did a magnificent job in postseason last year. 2nd and 8, the ball at the 22. The stopping already starting, and this stadium shakes. It's an erector set. Marino throws wide open as the tight end Drayton, who puts his shoulder down, and that nets him the first down at the 31 as he runs over Braxton and Mobley.
One of the hardest things to do for a quarterback in the NFL is to communicate on the road, and the Miami Dolphins offense is extremely simple, meaning that there aren't a lot of checks at the line of scrimmage. You have a PhD in offense at quarterback, yet he's running a very simplified offense. And that's the way to run with the football. Get your shoulders down and take on the tacklers.
And pick up the first down, which he does at the 31-yard line. Abdul-Jabbar, and he makes the acquaintance of one Ma'a Tonavasa. Oh, Ma'a.
Ma'a just comes inside of James Brown and beats him to the punch. And really, this is the way this defense is built. Up front, they're strong against the run. They added Dale Carter. And right there is Cecil Collins, the rookie running back for the Miami Dolphins, who's missing tonight with a bad ankle. Here comes Tonavasa down inside James Brown, and James Brown's got to pick him up. He can't just let him come in like that by himself.
2nd and 13. We showed you Collins there because Jimmy Johnson can't wait till he's healthy. He thinks he'll make a tremendous difference, and that is through a pair of hands, O.J. McDuffie, and almost picked off.
Al, this is the part of the game where the Dolphin offense is really going to struggle, because Greg Robinson does a great job of really mixing up his defensive blitzes, and he brings all different kinds of guys. And with the young, youthful running backs in the backfield, they're really not sure who to pick up in blitz pickup. And right there, he should have made the catch, and lucky that it was an interception. But right here, you have Conrad and you have Avery in the backfield. These are youngsters that are not sure of who they're blocking in these situations. Can create a huge problem for the Miami Dolphins and Dan Marino.
And Marino has to go to the gun with only Avery in the backfield with him. And everybody now into the pattern on 3rd and 13. And it's almost intercepted. Darius Johnson had an easy pick. Whew. So for Miami, this night has begun with a challenge of a replay that was not sustained, costing them a timeout. They give up a touchdown on a 3rd and long. And then Marino and the gang picked up one first down and forced a punt.
Here's Greg Robinson. You can see they have guys moving all around in the secondary, and you have to be quick in your decision making. If you're not sure who's coming and you're not sure who you're looking at, mistakes like that happen.
Brent Bartholomew is a rookie. He is the Miami punter. High kick, average distance, fair caught by Chris Watson. at the 29-yard line with 8:53 left in the quarter. That's a 44-yard boot. Greasy coming back onto the field with a reminder. You can go to ESPN.com or NFL.com right now and try our enhanced TV during tonight's telecast. You can watch the push channel or pull up live stats right from our television truck.
You saw John Elway there in the background saying, hey, maybe I did retire at the right time.
Well, Brian Greasy 4 for 6 for 84 yards on the drive, and he gives the ball. He fakes, and Greasy, a great ball handler, but it didn't fake Brock Marion, who almost intercepted it.
It's a good thing you weren't playing safety.
Tell me about it. That's exactly right. He has a tendency that we watched him a lot during preseason on tape, and he will fool a few cameras this season.
It's the lost art of carrying out the fake after you actually hand the ball off, and when you have somebody like Terrell Davis in the backfield, what a thing to utilize. You know, the old play action pass. I made a living off of that. You know that, don't you?
Absolutely.
Ickey Woods and James Brooks.
Brooks would have had another 2,000 yards if you'd have given him the ball.
Exactly.
Second down and 10 at the 30-yard line. Now, this is Davis, who actually has the football, and he totes it out to the 34-yard line. He's cut down there by Jones. It'll be third down and 5.
And when you play against the Miami Dolphin defense, they are aggressive in their coverage, and you can see right there's John Elway's first start. Now, he was a rookie. Now, Brian Greasy is not a rookie. It's his second year, so I want to make that clarification.
Right. He was 1 for 8 was Elway. That was against Pittsburgh, and he was yanked for Steve DeBerg.
When you play against the Miami Dolphin defense, big plays can happen because of the way that they play their coverages. A lot of man-to-man outside, a lot of pressure on the cornerbacks. If the quarterback has time, he can find those guys.
Jimmy Johnson yesterday saying we play press coverage, and that has really made the difference for us. Third down and 5. Greasy throws, caught. It is McCaffrey at the 38, but he is short of the first down. Making sure he doesn't advance any farther is Jerry Wilson.
Looks like Ed McCaffrey actually hurt his left leg, but you talk about accuracy in football games, and right there was an inaccurate throw, even though it was completed. You want to put the ball out in front and give the receiver a chance to make the catch and run away from the defender. But right here, the ball's a little bit behind McCaffrey, so he has to turn around, and Wilson's able to catch up and keep him from making a first down.
By 1 yard, and now they'll punt as Terrell Buckley goes back to receive. Tom Bruin has done an outstanding job. He's been very consistent through the years here. He'll send it up into the mile-high atmosphere, but this is not a good kick. It's a wobbler that bounces at the 22. Takes a tough bounce. Buckley loses the football. It is loose at the 20-yard line. And in the middle of that scrum, no signal yet.
Boy, that was an ugly punt, wasn't it?
Ooh. But it took a beautiful Denver bounce because Buckley couldn't handle it. Like a bad hop to the shortstop.
Most of the time, your special teams coordinators will tell you
Miami ball.
It's Miami ball, but they will tell you that when the ball hits the ground like that, get away from it. Dwight Hollier actually was lucky enough to be able to pull that out from underneath the pile.
So Miami keeps it with 7:10 to go in the first quarter, but the Broncos on top 7-0. 7:10 left in the opening quarter. Al Michaels, Boomer Esiason, and Leslie Visser in Denver. Opening night, year 30 of Monday Night Football. 7-0 Bronx. As Abdul-Jabbar takes the ball out to the 25-yard line. Denver's defensive unit gave up 1 first down to Miami on the last series, but this play by Tanavasa stopping Abdul-Jabbar, and then this near pick by Darius Johnson. The Denver defense very tough all of last year, and they think they're a lot better this year with the addition of Dale Carter at corner. 2nd and 6 from the 24-yard line. Abdul-Jabbar exploits a hole out to the 33. Tanavasa makes the tackle.
Interesting, you talk about guessing games with coaches and things of that nature. The Denver Broncos on 2nd down went to their nickel defense. They took out a few linebackers, put in a few more defensive backs. Miami Dolphins open up in what looks to be a passing formation, and they run the football. So if the Dolphins can continue to do this, catch their breath, and hold back the wave, they'll have a better chance of staying in this football game.
And the coolest guy in the joint at the helm. as he sends it back to Abdul-Jabbar. A little bit of room over the left side out to the 37-yard line. Tackle there by Trevor Price. Among the things Miami is facing tonight is Mile High Stadium, and the fact that Denver has now won, third down on that list, 24 in a row and ongoing. Miami with the all-time record, 27 consecutive wins at home and 74 snapped by the Raiders. Green Bay had its 25-game streak snapped last year by Minnesota. Each of those teams had their streaks snapped on Monday Night Football. The Broncos have not lost a regular season home game since the last game of 1995. That is caught by O.J. McDuffie, who led the league in receptions last year with 90, and he has a first down at the 46, tackled by Ray Crockett.
Again, this time the Dolphins call a play to the right. The defense is blitzing from the left. And really, when you look at it, J.J. Johnson, the rookie running back, made a nice block in the backfield, kept the blitzer off of Dan Marino, gave him the extra time that he needed just to find McDuffie right in the seam of the defense.
Now J.J. Johnson comes into the game, a good-looking rookie, and Yatil Green, bottom of the screen, their #1 pick 2 years ago, seeing his first action after 2 knee surgeries. And this is the rookie J.J. Johnson, who has the same given name as the coach, James Johnson, known as J.J. He was their second-round pick out of Mississippi State. They also have Cecil Collins. Johnson wanted to upgrade the running game, and he feels he has really done it with these two guys.
Take a look at this forward lane. He is 6'1", 230 pounds. He is a powerful back. Jimmy really likes him since he loves his toughness. They haven't really seen too much of him because of a hamstring injury that he sustained early in preseason. So we'll see a lot of him tonight.
He didn't have 1 carry in the exhibition season. And now he already has 2 carries when it counts. And he takes the ball just across the 45, very close to a first down. Stopped there by Kedrez. It's either a first down or 3rd and inches.
How long have they been talking about a running game in Miami? Al?
Forever. Forever.
And when you have somebody with the personality and the charisma of a Dan Marino, it always gets put on the back burner, it seems like. But when this man came in, Jimmy Johnson, he said, hey, look, we won all those Super Bowls in Dallas with a great running game. I had a great quarterback, but I had a great running game and a great defense, and he's trying to build this team just like he did in Dallas.
All he needs is Emmitt Smith. It's as simple as that.
Well, he might have found Emmitt Smith either in J.J. Johnson or Cecil Collins.
They're going to measure, it appears, with the naked eye, to be short. And the naked eye doesn't lie. 3rd and that much. Johnny Greer and his crew calling the game tonight. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by the people inspired to build vehicles for your mind and heart. Nissan Driven. EDS. E-Panic? EDS can help. The brewmasters at Budweiser remind you fresh beer tastes better. And Ameritrade, the way to trade, period. 3rd and inches, and they give the ball to the fullback, and this is Rob Conrad out of Syracuse, getting the start tonight because Stanley Pritchard, who'd normally start, is hurt, and Conrad, who played in that same backfield with Donovan McNabb with the Orangemen last year, picks up a first down on his first carry.
I was talking to Abdul-Jabbar before the game, and I asked him about the young guys in the backfield. Is he helping them? How much does he have to help them? And he had said that Rob Conrad came in, picked up the offense immediately, and has been a huge surprise. I don't say a surprise, but been a huge plus for them. And there's Stanley Pritchard, the other fullback, who's out for tonight.
First down at the 44-yard line. 7-0 Denver late in the first. And Marino going deep, and it's Tony Martin hauling it in, but he was on the chalk. Incomplete, out of bounds. Tony Martin, one of their big acquisitions. He actually started his career several years ago with Miami, then went to San Diego, last year in Atlanta, now back only 1 foot in on this play.
The deep threat that Miami's been looking for the last few years, and you can see right here that he gets 1 foot down. He's got to drag that right foot. That's a receiver's responsibility to be able to do that. And Marino was under pressure and threw the ball in the face of a blitz.
In college, it's good. Here, it's 2nd and 10. From the 44. And this is J.J. Johnson, who gets stopped by Eric Brown coming up from the safety spot.
Now, anytime you see safeties and low numbers in the 20s and 30s in the backfield, that means that they're blitzing out of the secondary. And you can see that Greg Robinson likes to just keep moving his guys around, and he has each of these guys about 15 blitzes when he comes into the game. Each of them have their own specific packages for third and second down, and he's really the master of just changing and deceiving the opposing offense.
Well, they told Eric to get up there, and Eric said, I know J.J. Johnson. I played with him at Mississippi State. And he made the tackle. It's 3rd down and 10 at the 44-yard line. 4-man rush, and that's dropped over the middle by the 3rd down back, John Avery. It would have been well shy of the 1st down anyway.
That's known as
4th down.
That's known as alligator arms in the business. You have to catch the ball. It's going to hurt either way. It's not an easy catch to make. It's certainly when you know that you're surrounded by Broncos, but Avery has got to make that play.
And who'd know better about alligator arms than a team from Florida?
That's exactly right, but he's got to make that catch right there. He's got to concentrate on the football and just absorb the hit. It's going to hurt either way. You might as well make it count.
Brent Bartholomew, Ohio State rookie, will try to angle this kick. At least he lined up that way, and he couldn't angle it enough as it bounces into the end zone, and Denver will take it at the 20. 1:54 left, first quarter, opening night in Denver. Well, it's a John Elway celebration week, and he'll be on it, of course, at halftime and Saturday, a college football celebration on ABC. North Carolina State against #1 ranked Florida State. To most of the country at 3:30 Eastern time, and other regional action, including Kansas against the Colorado Buffaloes, about 35 miles from here.
Ohio versus Ohio State.
That's correct. The old Ohio U, as Greasy goes deep on 1st down and incomplete, intended for Dwayne Carswell. Covered by Calvin Jackson, so they send the tight end / wide receiver down deep, and Bubby Brister on the sideline. 10 days ago, we thought he'd be here tonight as the starting quarterback. He's the backup.
You want to talk about running backs in this league, and you want to see what it takes to be a great running back. Not only rushing the football, but you have to be able to block. And watch Terrell Davis pick up Zach Thomas. That's the way to block right there. Knock the guy out of the way, keep him off your quarterback.
2nd down and 10, and this is Davis. A flag goes down. On their first 12 plays, I mean, Shanahan not letting Greasy really get his feet wet in the conventional sense. They passed on 9 of their first 12 calls tonight.
Now every coach should coach the quarterback the way this guy does. He wants his quarterback to get in a rhythm. He doesn't want him to have to sit back there on 3rd down and throw it only on 3rd down.
Offside, 92, defense, lined up in the neutral zone. Still 2nd down.
Darrell Gardner.
He wants to let the quarterback throw the football and get in the flow of the game.
Well, a quarterback throwing the football. How about the AFC Championship game in Cleveland in '86, simply known as the Drive? It was John Elway sending the Broncos to the Super Bowl with that magnificent drive against Cleveland, an overtime victory. 2nd down and 5, and this is Davis swinging to the outside, gets spun around, helicoptered, and may have picked up the 1st down. Calvin Jackson makes the hit.
Oh. That was some hit too for a DB to come up and lay the wood to Terrell that way. That was some kind of, you can see right here he's walking off. He's a little banged up, a little hurt, and Sean Wooden's going to come in and replace him. And this is a secondary that is asked to make tackles.
That's a 1st down. Look at where Davis stands through their first 61 NFL games. Only Dickerson and Campbell got off to more illustrious starts than Davis at similar points in their career. That's taken out to the 35-yard line. Sometimes you can look at total careers, and right now Davis is ahead of a lot of people, but remember, as running backs wear down, their averages begin to diminish at the end. So the best way to really compare these running backs is at similar points in their career, and you can see right now through in effect 4 years, Davis is off to the 3rd best start ever by a running back.
And he doesn't get hit in practice. Mike Shanahan told us we don't hit him during the week. He gets hit enough on Sundays. We want to make sure that he's fresh at the end of the season as well as the beginning.
2nd down and 4. Play fake, and then Greasy throws underneath, but throws low, intended for Davis, and at his feet, Kenny Mixon put the pressure on.
Well, these are some of the bumps that he's going to run into. Not every pass is going to be completed. You can see a flag is on the play on this one as well.
Illegal contact against Miami.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 29, defense, first down.
Sam Madison, who Jimmy Johnson calls the best cornerback he's ever seen.
He had a terrific year last year, and just watch. This is what it's like to be a physical DB in the NFL. You can't grab the face mask certainly like that and throw a guy down on the ground. I'm surprised that wasn't a 15-yarder.
Let me put it this way. Jimmy actually said, first best cornerback I've ever had. He said, remember, I didn't have Dion in Dallas.
A little bit of a mix-up on the substitutions in the Denver sideline. We're trying to get Brian's attention to call timeout. Would have been an illegal substitution had they not called timeout.
And a wasted timeout here, coming with 5 seconds left in the period. But what you going to do? Here's a reminder on Sunday, September 26th, from the creator of the practice, Nally McBeal, and the private eyes that'll get you. The series premiere of Snoops right before the practice on ABC.
Boy, that looks
David
pretty
Kelly
good, Al.
show. Big night for David at the Emmys last night. Yes, so you and I will be watching that.
It looks pretty good, Al.
September 26th. Final play of the quarter is Terrell Davis on first down, taking it to the 46-yard line, and that's the way the period will end as the Greasy era begins. And it begins effectively. Denver 7, Miami nothing. And Monday.
For the latest on where to go and what to do, call the 9 Family Connection helpline.
Opening night, Mile High Stadium in Denver. The 2-time Super Bowl champion Broncos leading Miami 7-0 as we start the second quarter. Second down and 5 for Denver from its own 46. Greasy, good protection, throws, picks up the first down as Shannon Sharp makes his second catch of the evening, is out of bounds at the 44, off a nice block by Terrell Davis to spring him.
Again, really, the Dolphins blitz. Brian Greasy stands right in there, and all the stuff is going on around him. He waits for Shannon Sharp to clear underneath, hits him on a little shallow cross. Shannon has great hands. And what Shannon does so well after the catch of the ball is run with it and gain extra yards, and then he delivers a lick. He just doesn't take one.
Sharp coming over to the sideline and now comes back in. Set up tight on the left side. And they give it to Davis, trying to shave off the backside, but not much there, to the 43-yard line.
The other thing with a young quarterback is the communication, making sure that guys are in the huddle that are supposed to be in the huddle, getting the formations correct on the field. We saw early in the preseason that some of the formations early in games for the Denver Broncos, they were not in the correct formation. These are things that young quarterbacks have to be able to do, and it's nice that he gets a chance to do it at home.
Marino biding his time, second down and 9 with the ball at the 44-yard line. And Greasy's pass is caught at the 38. Shannon Sharp, he reminds me in so many ways, the poise, just the look. I mean, he's so clear-eyed. Speaking to him yesterday, extremely intelligent. The test that all of the rookies are given. I mean, he was the valedictorian of the Wonderlic, what they call the Wonderlic test.
Well, the average score there is between 15 and 20 for an average NFL player. For a smart quarterback, it would be 28. 39's off the charts. And really, and in this game, so much of it is mental for the quarterback to be able to handle and put things in the right perspective.
3rd and 3. The 24-year-old quarterback will keep it himself on a quarterback draw and picks up the first down to the 33-yard line. The crowd papa. And Bob's wife, Shay, is applauding. He's very happy. Shay is Bob's second wife. Brian's mother, Judy, died in 1988. She battled cancer for a long time. Brian is the youngest of 3 sons, and he and his dad are, I can't tell you how close. But there he is picking up the first down.
One of the interesting things there, you can see number 77, Tony Jones, the left tackle for the Denver Broncos, engulfing Zach Thomas. That's the key to the defense of the Miami Dolphins. Get somebody on him.
Good play fake again. Then he gets banged from behind, loses the ball, but his arm was coming forward. It's an incomplete pass. Sam Madison on the corner blitz.
Well, it seems to me that the Miami Dolphins have decided, look, we have to turn up the heat. We're not getting there with our 4 defensive linemen. We're going to have to start sending some defensive backs and some linebackers. And on a play-action pass like that, Brian Greasy had no chance to see that the blitz was coming. And watch Sam Madison down here at the bottom, kind of olays the running back, Howard Griffith. And that's not like Howard Griffith. Howard Griffith usually makes blocks like that, but different blocking a nimble defensive back coming around the corner.
Second down and 10 from the 33-yard line, and they give it to Davis. And Terrell fights his way to the 25-yard line. Tom Nalen, the center, leading the way.
That's the key, getting somebody on Zach Thomas, and Tom Nalen, number 66, coming right up the middle and taking on Zach Thomas and running him over. Zach Thomas, one of the best tacklers in the NFL. He had 489 tackles over the last 3 seasons. He is the heart and soul of the Miami Dolphin defense, and Tom Nalen just ran him over and gave Terrell Davis a great hole to run up through.
3rd and 1. Denver with a huge advantage on 104 yards through the air, 84 on that very first series that resulted in the game's only touchdown. On 3rd and short, Davis swings to the outside, and good work by the right side of the Miami defense. Darrell Gardner helping to break up the play. He was the key man.
What a play by Darrell Gardner, staying low and staying underneath the blocks and fighting his way through and throwing his body at the legs of Terrell Davis. And when somebody at 6'6", 315 is coming at you, that's a load.
2 great tackles in the middle. His partner in crime, Tim Bowens, is the only Dolphin to have been named to the Pro Bowl last year. Now Elam to attempt a 44-yard field goal. We see the hold, or Tom Ruin to hold, and it is blocked. It is blocked. It is plucked out of the air, and it is Buckley skirting the sideline and staying in as long as he can and taking it all the way to the 36-yard line. Lorenzo Bromell is the guy who blocked it, to the disgust of special teams coach Rick Dennison. That doesn't happen very often to Elam, and then Buckley runs it back, and Miami is in business with 10:53 left in the half. Buckley with a run back, and Marino taken over at the Denver 36.
You can see right here, Trey Teague, number 70. He is the center for the kicking team. Gets ran over by about 1,200 pounds of beef, and Lorenzo Bromell gets his big paw in the end, knocks it down. The center has got to anchor in there, and he's got to stay tight and strong.
So instead of probably 10-0, it is still 7-0, and Miami has it at the 36. Abdul-Jabbar back in the backfield. The fake to him, and then the pass to Abdul-Jabbar. He gets rolled down at the 29-yard line.
A nice tackle by John Mobley. One of the more difficult things to do for linebackers is to trap a running back out in the field of play with nobody else around. And Mobley is known as one of the better tackles also in the NFL. Quick. Watch Jabbar get around the corner here, and watch Mobley wrap him up. It's a good, solid tackle, and it's exactly the way he's supposed to do it.
2nd down and 3 at the 29-yard line. Marino throwing into a lot of traffic, and somehow, some way, guns it into O.J. McDuffie, turning around, reaching back, and making a fabulous catch just shy of the goal line.
Talk about catching a break, throwing the ball, and McDuffie going up and making the play. This is what it's all about, going up, being tough, getting your body in front of the defenders and making a play. And Dan Marino fires the football in there, but look at McDuffie go up and make the play with 2 guys around him. Braxton and Dale Carter.
1st and goal at the 1. Abdul-Jabbar, no. This is the problem for Miami. It has been in the past, this short yardage situation, because they need that back who can take it in.
You better have somebody who can block too. I mean,
right.
I don't care who you are. You're not going to break 5 tackles. There were 4 or 5 defenders right there at the point of attack. And you could see Traylor just coming over the top. And I don't care who you are. Look, if you're Terrell Davis, you're not getting through there.
2nd and goal. Conrad's the fullback. Abdul-Jabbar is the tailback. Abdul-Jabbar again, and he angles his way in for the touchdown. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he only wears that Abdul on the back. He has the same name as the basketball player, even though the first name is different. Part of a marketing settlement in a suit filed by the basketball Kareem a few years ago. That's why it simply says Abdul. Right now he says 6 points.
When you think about it, this game is all about just making plays. First Lorenzo Bromell, then O.J. McDuffie, and now Jabbar right over the top and into the end zone. 3 plays, the score is tied. The game can change on a moment's notice.
And it did on the blocked field goal, which results in a Miami touchdown, an extra point by Mate to tie the game. So instead of it being probably 10-0 Denver, we have 8:54 left in the opening half. It's Miami 7, Denver 7. Well, the Miami Dolphins blocking a field goal attempt. That's the key play of the game. Denver scored early on its first series. Brian Griese hitting Ed McCaffrey with a long bomb. And then after it looked like it would be 10-0 Denver, Miami gets the ball. This kickoff winds up in the end zone down there by Chris Watson. And now Griese will come back out to the 20-yard line. In the meantime, we're counting down to the half, which is going to be a halftime to remember here in Denver. They're all pumped up. John Elway to get his...
Online is Inside the Game with live action, interviews, and live polls at ESPN.com.
Part of the tribute at halftime, all of those kids in John Elway's uniform, part of the celebration that takes place on the field, watching this game unfold as on first down from the 20. Griese rolling, buying time, throwing and finding McCaffrey, who gets free on the sideline. McCaffrey pulls it in up at the 40-yard line, a 20-yard pickup.
So here you go. You see you have an athlete back here. He's moving the ball and throwing the ball on the run.
And this is a very propitious time to go down to Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Yes, it is, Al. They've said that Brian may not be the next Elway, but he might be the next Griese. I'm joined by our colleague Bob tonight. What impresses you as a father and an analyst?
Well, these are my 2 favorite teams. You know, Dolphins for over 30 years and for the Broncos over 1. I couldn't get any information out of either one of them. But Brian, you know, just this calmness, just the fact that he's doing so well. I think he would tell you he's a little off on some of the crossing routes. He's throwing the ball a little behind him, but he's playing well for the first time on Monday night in front of the what I think is the best defense in the NFL, the Dolphins. He's doing well.
Well, you would know. What advantages does he have that you did not have as a 22-year-old starter?
Mike Shanahan and a great running game. I was with an expansion team. We didn't have this.
Well, it also can't hurt to have a Hall of Fame father. Thanks a lot, Bob.
He's a good kid.
Thank you, Leslie. Good analysis. I mean, Bob did everything but send it back to Keith Jackson. Griese throws, and that is incomplete. Sharp is looking for a flag, saying that he was wrapped up by Brock Marion, but there is no laundry.
These are the problems that the Denver Broncos give you when you line up in spread formations like this. Shannon Sharp is very difficult to cover for a safety, let alone a defensive back. And you can see right here, Brock Marion making a nice play on the ball. It was close, but the official, I think, did the right thing by not throwing the flag. But those are the problems that the Denver Broncos give you in formations and matchups, especially when they spread out like that.
3rd down and 6 now as Griese comes up in the shotgun. It's Rod Smith in the slot. Under a lot of heat, throws, hits Sharp, but it's short of the first down. It's a minimal gain. That time it was Zach Thomas who broke free and made Griese get rid of the ball in a hurry. 4th down.
He broke free because Tony Jones and Terrell Davis got mixed up. They both went for the same guy outside and let Zach Thomas come right up the middle untouched. And Terrell Davis looked at Tony Jones and said, hey, you got the guy going inside. I got the guy going outside. Tony Jones made the wrong move, and Brian Griese had to pay the price.
Tom Ruin, who is engaged to the Olympic swim champion Amy Van Dyken, who hopes to win several more medals in Sydney, and they'll get married after the Olympics, is back to punt. And O.J. McDuffie will run it back for Miami if indeed there is a run back, but there won't be because it's 8 yards into the end zone. A 54-yard boot with 6:46 left in the half. And the game tied at 7.
No, Al, on the last play, Brian Griese took a hit right here. Tony Jones and Terrell Davis both go outside when one should stay inside. And it should be Terrell Davis or Jones picking up Zach Thomas. I believe that was Jones's man coming in. He went outside with Terrell and forced Brian Griese to throw the ball quickly.
J.J. Johnson is in the backfield from the 20-yard line. And the rookie with the ball out to the 25-yard line. Boomer, we touched upon it at the top. Jimmy Johnson after 3 years in Miami, and it's the only job that would have brought him back after his sabbatical in television following 5 years with Dallas, that one day he not only had called for a press conference, he'd almost emptied out his office. They sent $7 into the trunk of his car, and then Wayne Huizenga, the owner, flew back to Miami and talked him out of it.
Well, he had a little bit of a midlife crisis. His mom passed away. He had some personal problems, and I guess Wayne Huizenga, but also Danny Marino. And they said, hey, look, we're close. Let's stay together. Let's keep going.
To the 29-yard line, that's Johnson.
And Jimmy was the one who had said that he had a 5-year plan. And this team is close. And with the New York Jets losing Vinny Testaverde yesterday.
Right.
You know, and the Patriots picking up a big win.
Buffalo losing.
Right. They smell blood in their division. There's no question about that. And coming into tonight, I sense from Jimmy Johnson all the way down to Olindo Mare, their kicker, that they could win this football game. They sense that they're the team to beat now.
Well, Johnson's attempting to become the first man, the first coach to win Super Bowls with 2 different teams. 3rd down and short from the 29-yard line. Marino, a little dump off to Conrad. Nice looking play, and the rookie makes the catch. Crockett makes the tackle. 1st down. The 4 on the left, of course, Lombardi, McCafferty, Stram, and Flores, won Super Bowls and then couldn't get their second teams to the Super Bowl. Johnson, Parcells, Ditka, Holmgren, and Seifert would have that opportunity. In fact, Bill Parcells has taken 2 different teams to the Super Bowl, winning twice with the Giants, losing with New England. The only other guy to go to Super Bowls with 2 different teams would have been Don Shula, winning in Miami twice but losing with Baltimore. Marino throws, and it is hauled in by Tony Martin. Martin, the primary acquisition in the offseason. Again, he started his career with Miami, went to San Diego, last year with Atlanta. The Falcons couldn't step up and pay him the money they needed to because his questionable future, was in doubt. We'll get to that in a second. 40 yards.
But right here, recognizing that Tony Martin's on a rookie, or a rookie is trying to cover him, number 21, Chris Watson. And Tony Martin trying to keep Watson away from the football, gets on top of Watson. And Watson's not used to playing against athletes like this, even though he does in practice, but not when the bullets are flying for real out here.
40-yard pickup to the 25-yard line. Johnson gained 6. Tony Martin was a guy that had to be picked up by Johnson. Curiously, Tony was involved. There were 5 counts against him, mainly dealing with money laundering and a drug transaction with a boyhood friend, but he was acquitted on all 5 counts recently, so now he's free and clear and a Dolphin.
And you can tell a veteran move by an offensive coordinator, Kippy Brown, going right after the rookie Chris Watson and staying away from Dale Carter.
Down and 3 from the 18-yard line. This will be the 8,000th pass of Marino's career. Consider it complete. Caught by Yatil Green. So Danny's 8,000th attempt is Yatil Green's first ever reception. Now in his 3rd year, but he was hurt in the first 2 years. And finally is able to see some action. Hurt in training camp in each of the last 2 seasons. Sunday night on ESPN, it will be the New York Jets and Rick Meyer at the helm against the Buffalo Bills. 2 teams trying to get on track after yesterday's performances. And then we go to Dallas, where it's Atlanta against the Cowboys, coming off that remarkable comeback over the Redskins yesterday on Monday Night Football. First 10 is Marino hitting Conrad, wide open in the town for the rookie.
And another mix-up in the defensive secondary for the Denver Broncos. John Mobley standing out there looking confused, wondering whether or not he was responsible for Conrad. And give the Miami Dolphins credit for hanging in there and running plays and running play-action passes. And Dan Marino, the savvy veteran, standing back there finding guys wide open. And you can see that he's looking downfield and then quickly adjusts his sights, and Mobley gets twisted inside, confused, and probably was looking for the run.
Monte for the point after. You can see Shanahan and Robinson and Mike in effect saying, what in the world was that coverage? What happened on that one? So Yatil Green helps to set it up. Conrad scores his first NFL touchdown and their first lead. What will happen to that coverage?
Well, he's looking at Mobley. He's wondering, you're in the backfield and you bid on the play action fake, and your responsibility is the fullback in the flat. You have to go with me. Danny Marino can sense things. The great thing about veteran quarterbacks, Al, is that they can see the entire field and they can sense when somebody's open, and certainly he's done it better than anybody ever has.
When those photos come down after coverage like that to the guy getting yelled at, they must look like they're X-rated. Bouncing ball fielded at the 5-yard line. The great-looking rookie Chris Watson up to the 27. Won a job running back punts and kickoffs. He'll also be a nickelback, and now Greasy comes out again.
Take a look at this play right here. This is the last play, the touchdown play. Watch Conrad. He couldn't have flat, and Mobley is disjointed. He kind of gets lost looking in the backfield on the and really, I don't know why he's looking back there. There wasn't ever a play action fake, and you can see right there they all look confused.
The rookie in effect beats a guy with a Pro Bowl.
Right. There's no excuse for him to be wide open like that. Somebody bust coverage. My guess would be Mobley.
First down from the 27-yard line. And that pass is off the fingertips of Howard Griffith, covered by Robert Jones.
Well, you talked about the Sunday night ESPN game with the Jets and the Buffalo Bills. The NFL is crazy the way it works. After the first week, already panic is set in. And these games mean so much to each of these players and coaches and the fans across the league that when teams lose, well, I'll tell you, the stress levels rise, the head coaches get ornery, and that's going to be a game that both of those teams are going to want very badly.
Second down and 10. From the 28-yard line. Back against the big down, and he goes up, he threw that's in, and that's about as good a coverage on a receiver as you'll ever see without a flag. That is Rod Smith, and he is hurt. He is shaken as he's rolling around on the ground. Coverage that time. Sam Madison, I mean, you know, it's the old cliche blanket coverage. Madison was a $1,000 quilt on that one.
This is the way to play defense when you go back down there, and there's going to be some bumping and there's going to be some contact, but Sam Madison played the ball correctly and played the receiver correctly. Watch this. Good thing about Sam Madison here, he's looking for the ball. He's looking to make a play on the football, and then actually gets right there when the ball also gets there, so there is no penalties associated with that. Looked like he grabbed his face mask, though, didn't it, Al?
Mm-hmm. Got away with that one. And now they have to work on Rod Smith, who has been one of their primary guys. We talked about Madison and the fact that Jimmy Johnson says that he's the finest cornerback he's ever seen. In the meantime, if there's a 5-yard penalty against Miami, that will make it a first down for the Broncos at the 33. But Smith, a key guy. They've got 3 great receivers, and Smith, Caffrey, and Shannon Sharp. And beyond them, you've got Marcus Nash and Chris Doring.
It's the one thing that you could never really expect, and that's the injury. When does the injury hit your team? And for teams like the New York Jets, you can see right here, first undrafted receiver with consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. It's a pretty nice accomplishment for Rod Smith. But you talk about injuries. You just never know when they're going to hit. You never know who they're going to hit.
Number 62, offense. Still first down.
You just hope and pray that it doesn't happen to your football team, and it's not key players like Wayne Corbett and Vinny Testaverde.
Right on opening day, and it's the Rams of yesterday is the Rams beat Baltimore. Sometimes it works out, other times it's a nightmarish season. Up to the 29, that's Davis for 2. Elway to be honored at the half. Here's what Brian Greasy says about the legend.
I came in as a rookie, and my locker was put right next to his, and I was kind of awestruck for a while. But as I got to know him more and more, and I got to be able to kid with him about things, I really started to watch the way that he led the football team.
Best way to learn.
Boy, I mean, think about that. How about that for a couple of mentors? Shanahan and Elway. Clock ticking down to the 2-minute warning, and of course the crowd is bracing for what will be a very memorable ceremony with John Elway on. That's pretty even when you look at those numbers, and the back parrot for the first 28 minutes action. Little difference in experience. Greasy making his first start, and Danny making his over 200th start, more than 230. As Greasy on 2nd down and 14. It's flushed out, throws, and almost jams it in. It's incomplete. Late flag.
And you're going to have holding against the offensive line of the Denver Broncos. You know, Trace Armstrong right here really has a matchup in his favor. He's going against Matt Lepsis, the right tackle of the Denver Broncos, and Trace should be able to handle him pretty good on passing plays. And this is an area where, talking to Dave Wannstedt before the game,
69 offense. It's decline. 3rd down.
Where they felt that they had an advantage, and you have an 11-year veteran going against a first-year starter.
Somehow the clock only ticked off 1 second. I guess time is standing still at 5,280 feet. Now they're going to reset it. Yeah. They did. Thank you.
But this is the maturation of a young quarterback. How he's going through some pitfalls right now. The last few series haven't gone so well. He's been getting hit. A few penalties here and there. This is a tough play right here. 3rd down and long.
3rd and 14.
And here comes the blitz.
3rd and long. He threw the touchdown pass earlier, and he's got McCaffrey free again, and he underthrows it. McCaffrey had beaten the corner, Madison, but the pass floated, and it had to slow down, and that's the end of that.
Well, when you're used to playing with John Elway, who's got a cannon and can throw it about 80 yards, and you get out on top of everybody like that, you expect your quarterback to reach you. And that time, Brian Greasy underthrew the ball, but Ed McCaffrey should still make this catch. Tries to put everything he can into it. And that's a catch he normally makes.
Now Ruin has the punt blocked. The punt is blocked, and the 2 big plays have been Miami blocks so far tonight, because that one's going to roll dead up at the 43-yard line, where it is Greg Jeffries who blocks the kick. And then it is picked up by Byron Chamberlain. It is as Dennison shakes his head, Miami ball at the 44-yard line.
Again, Miami has found a hole up the middle of the Denver protection. That's where they came again this time.
If after the block a Miami player had possession of the ball and lost it, and Denver had come up with it as Chamberlain did there, that's what moment confused the field. That was not the case, because it went past the line of scrimmage, right, which made like any other punt. And so Miami, they're smart enough to know, don't touch the ball.
And Mobley's smart enough to know to try to knock a guy into the ball.
He did. He tried to almost got away with it. From the 43-yard line, Marino fires wide open over the middle is Tony Martin. And he has a first down at the 27-yard line, tackled by Ray Crockett. As Marino moves to the line quickly, Monday Night Football is brought to you by Ford Outfitters, no batteries. Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up, never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And for Love of the Game from Universal Pictures, starring Kevin Costner and Kelly Preston.
What I like about here, the Dolphins actually went back into their huddle. He's in no hurry, does not want to leave any time on the clock for the Denver offense, if in fact he does get an opportunity to score.
Playing both ends against the middle. Oh. And this is Abdul-Jabbar to the 15-yard line off a Rob Conrad block. So the rookie fullback, who has already caught a touchdown pass, makes the start. The kid out of Syracuse, wearing the same number at Syracuse, 44, worn by Jim Brown, Ernie Davis, and Floyd Little, with a great block.
Jimmy Johnson loves Rob Conrad. Watch him come around. This is what fullbacks do. They take on linebackers, knock them out of the way, and Jabbar is smart enough to get through the hole quickly.
1st and 10, ball at the 15-yard line. Marino throws to the outside. That's incomplete. Miami has 2 timeouts at its disposal. Their other timeout was the timeout off the replay challenge very early in the game, which was not upheld, and thus they're down to 2.
I'll tell you why that last play was a good play by Dan Marino. Most young quarterbacks will sit in there and they'll try to look around and force it. Marino was not comfortable with the coverage. He didn't feel good about it. He knew where he was on the field. He got rid of it and didn't risk taking a sack.
Marino with 12 interceptions in the red zone.
And that's probably why he's like that now.
Yes.
He's probably a little gun shy.
2nd down and 10. Danny hangs in, and the pass is incomplete. There's a flag down at the 6-yard line.
You're going to have holding on the defense. It's like probably, it could be Mobley holding on Drayton.
So Mobley, we assume, got burned on that last coverage with Conrad. Now winds up holding the tight end.
51, defense. First down.
You saw that graphic about Danny Marino throwing the ball in the red zone like that. That's one of the reasons that Jimmy Johnson does not want to throw the ball as much. You'll see right here on the left side of our screen, there's Drayton, and you'll see Mobley grabbing him right there. And Danny Marino recognizing it and throwing it and getting the flag.
21 ticks remaining. First down goal from the 10-yard line. Good protection into the end zone. Great coverage there. Looks for McDuffie, but a bunch of Broncos around him. Tyrone Braxton with the primary coverage. Dale Carter there as well.
No, everybody was over there. They have two receivers running into the end zone, and there are about 7 guys. Get somebody on the other side. It's the ultimate force. And Denver probably will not blitz down here. They'll probably play zone defense, and they'll try to keep the ball in front of them. And it really comes down to the defensive linemen of the Denver Broncos to get back there and put pressure on the quarterback.
Now Marino spreads it out on 2nd and goal. And Danny throws it away, so everybody covered. And then Johnny Greer throws a flag, the referee. And because he was in the pocket, you can't do that. Your pocket, you can do it.
I got to be honest, I've never seen. I understand the rule.
Right.
Most officials will not call that.
Boomer, what you say is illustrated in spades. Marino's laughing about it. I'm sure he's saying the same thing.
Come on, I could do this. I'm not under pressure. Nobody's near me. Let's take a look here. You see, there's only a 3-man rush by the Broncos, so there are 8 guys in the secondary, and that. Yeah. I mean, if you interpret the rule the way literally, then okay, I can understand the call, but.
Right.
I don't ever remember that happening to me.
Right. Very unbelievable. You know, it's one of those plays where the rule says if you're outside what they call the tackle box, in other words, outside where the tackles would normally stand,
right,
you can throw it away. But Danny's straight behind center and threw it off the goalpost.
If he didn't throw it quite as high, I don't think he would have called it.
Meantime, it's
there was no intent to make the completion there.
Right. 3rd down and goal from the 20-yard line. Marino under pressure, avoids the sack, throws back to the end zone, and it is no touchdown. Drayton was on the chalk.
We'll have a flag down in the end zone right here.
Drayton pulled it in, but on the back line. That, of course, that's the type of play that's reviewable.
I think this one's clearly out. There was a flag, however, though.
There's no infraction on the play. 4th down.
4th down. He's out as we'll look at the replay, so there'll be no stoppage by the replay booth. It's up to the replay booth here. This is not a coach's challenge situation. And he doesn't get either foot in. So there's
not even close.
Not even close is exactly right. The coaches cannot call for the replay in the last 2 minutes. It's up to the replay people. Replay official. This is a 38-yard field goal attempt. Olindo Mate, Damon Ewart to hold from 38 in the thin air. And Mate's kick is good. So 2 key plays tonight for Miami. One, a blocked field goal by Bromell. The other, the partially blocked punt, helping lead to a field goal. So that has set up 10 of Miami's 17 points, and Jimmy Johnson's team is up by 10.
And what is his recipe for success? Solid defense, good running game, and outstanding special teams. He's one of the few coaches where everybody preaches it, but he is fully out there with his special teams, making sure that they know what their assignments are. And that's exactly what you have to do on the road. You have to go out and you have to make the plays on special teams to give your team an opportunity to win.
That's a 3-year home winning streak in regular season, and in only 2 of the games have they trailed at the half. Both in 1996. So they went through 97 and 98 without even trailing at the half in Mile High.
We'll give the Miami Dolphins an awful lot of credit, especially their defense. After that first series, they kind of settled down and took it to Brian Griese in the offense of the Denver Broncos, and the offense was, made some mistakes, made some blocking errors, dropped some balls, you know, those are the plays that you make. If you want to go to the Super Bowl, you got to make the great catches. You got to pick up your assignments, and you have to make sure that you're error-free. And that's not the way the Broncos have played since that first series on offense.
This is a little ground ball, and it will end the first half. Detron Smith back out to the 37-yard line. Miami was 17 unanswered points all in the second quarter.
Boys are getting a little testy.
Well, Denver took the early lead on the first series, and the place erupted. The place will erupt in another few minutes with the Elway ceremony, but right now Miami leads the field on top 17-7. Lexus halftime report, the John Elway retirement ceremony, when we come back after this message from the National Football League and a word from our ABC stations. Building lighted in tribute to number 7, and I'm thinking about Pat Bowlen saying 7 and John Elway are synonymous. Denver and all of Colorado and John Elway are synonymous. I can only think of one other athlete in modern time, Michael Jordan. That's the way they feel Elway. Listening to a radio show today, question posed, what's a trip to the John Elway? Somebody said, let's name the street after him. Okay. Somebody else said, let's name the new stadium after him. Not a bad idea. Then somebody else said, why stop there? Let's name a mountain after him. He was a mountain of a man and comported himself from beginning to end, from high school through college and the professional ranks, with class and dignity. And the only thing you can wrap it up with is the old Bob Hope line to John Elway. Thanks for the memories. What a career. We'll be back to kick off the second half after this. Mile High Stadium in Denver as we get set to start the second half, and the smoke still clearing, literally, from the fireworks. Haze in the thin air. And right now there's a little hole in the air as well, because Miami leads by 10. Elam's kick. This is John Avery running it back from the 2. Good run back. He takes it all the way out to the 35-yard line, picking and threading his way for a 33-yard return. As we take a look, Boomer, at the numbers through the first 30 minutes of competition.
Give the Dolphins credit. They hung in there after a really inauspicious start in the first quarter, but as you can see, right, literally outplayed the Denver Broncos. And the key stat right there is no turnovers. That's it.
Denver led 7-0 early. Miami with 17 unanswered points in the second quarter. First down from the 35-yard line. And Marino to Conrad, who scored a touchdown in the first half. And Conrad, I mean, everybody who wears 44 looks like Tom Rathman or Tommy Vardell.
Or how about John Riggins?
Or John Riggins.
Yes. Really, the nice thing about Conrad there, breaking 2 tackles, first Mobley and then Quadrez. And you can see this kid has got good hands. He's big, he's solid, he makes good blocks, and certainly can run after the catch. To have a fullback that is multi-dimensional like that is what a big plus for the Miami Dolphins.
Johnny Greer is the referee.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 65, offense. Go first down.
That's Kevin Donnelly, the guard. Now, he and Kevin Gogan will be spelled this year, coming in and out. Both are veterans. Gogan in his 13th year, Donnelly in his 9th, and Johnson trying to keep them fresh, and Donnelly was too fresh there.
Well, the one thing really that the Miami Dolphins didn't do, especially in the second quarter, no big penalties, no turnovers. They come out, they get a nice start right here, and then have a stupid penalty like that. These are the things that lead you into defeat on the road, especially against the Broncos.
First and 17 from the 28-yard line. Abdul-Jabbar out to the 34, tackled by Mike Lodish. Let's check in with Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Al, Jimmy Johnson said he is most impressed that they stayed with the running game. You'll remember they rushed for only 50 yards in 2 games against the Broncos last year. For the Broncos, 20 million people around the world saw John Elway's number retired, but not the Broncos. They were in the locker room making adjustments. Mike Shanahan said it's their defense that has to step up, but he laments that John Elway will not be available to them in the fourth quarter.
Well, maybe Brian Grease's quarterbacks now.
Leslie will be lamenting the fact that 20 million people are watching. If that's the case, that'll be about half the rating we expect. Second and 11, and that pass is caught by Martin, who breaks a tackle, picks up the first down into Denver territory, and Tony is out of bounds at the 41. He broke a Chris Watson tackle, and there's a flag thrown after the play.
You talked about Chris Watson earlier on, Al, and what a fine-looking rookie. Well, he's getting schooled tonight. First Tony Martin down the other side right now, then they're breaking a tackle.
Personal foul, number 39, defense. Late hit out of bounds. First down.
Take a look at this. There's a blitz, so it's one-on-one outside. Watson has got to make the tackle. Martin's having a tough night tonight. They're so impressed with his, oh, you can see right there, Crockett at the end throwing an elbow. I mean, Super Bowl contenders don't do that. What is he thinking?
Yeah, that's on the edge of an ejection. 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. Abdul-Jabbar. And he's running with a lot more panache tonight, because what's happening, of course, is that he's fighting for a job. He's the incumbent, but he has 2 rookies behind him, and Johnson loves the rookies, and he's looking for any reason to supplant Abdul-Jabbar. Take to the penalty now.
Yeah, take a look right here. There's Martin. He's got the face mask, and he's obviously very annoyed with that, and then takes exception of it with it and throws an elbow.
2nd and 1, so Tony got away with 1, and then Crockett gets the penalty as Conrad picks up the first down of the 11.
How good does Conrad look? Fullback lifting up his legs, picking up his feet, getting through the piles, catching balls, making blocks. That's a real find for the Miami Dolphins if this kid can keep it up through the full season. And there's Cecil Collins, the 5th-round draft choice. Jimmy Johnson loves this kid. He loves his spirit. He loves the way he plays. But I think he's finding a little bit more out about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar tonight.
Yes, he is. First down from the 12. Abdul-Jabbar. And Abdul-Jabbar saying, you're not getting my job that quickly to either of the rookies, as Braxton stops him.
Every coach in the NFL will tell you that it's all about the competition that brings out the best in players. One of the things that I had read locally here in Denver, Reggie Rivers wrote an article about Bubby Brister and how Bubby really didn't think he was competing for a spot on the team. He figured he was the starter. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, on the other hand, knows that he's competing because he's got all these young guys behind him. J.J. Johnson, John Avery, and Cecil Collins, who all want his job. So he is playing at a very high motivation level.
And he's averaging almost 5 yards a carry tonight. There it is. He gets it again, and he comes up just a little bit short of the goal line. Tackled by Bill Romanowski.
Players in the NFL need to be uncomfortable. And coaches like Jimmy Johnson, Mike Shanahan, Bill Parcells, Dan Reeves, I mean, the list is long. They keep their players uncomfortable. And you could see that Kareem is giving it his all tonight, laying it all on the line and showing Jimmy Johnson, hey, I can be your man.
But right now, J.J. Johnson's going to be the man, because he comes in as the tailback in this set behind Conrad. On 2nd and goal, they give it to the rookie, and he gets hammered by at the line of scrimmage.
Woo, man.
One rookie takes care of another. Wilson was their #1 pick out of Tennessee.
He was the captain of the national championship Tennessee Volunteers last year, and they said they put him in there for this particular reason. Wow, is that sudden impact. Watch this collision, folks. Johnson leaves his feet, and Al Wilson explodes into him. Look at that. That's giving it up right there, Al.
And George Coghill is hurt, who plays in their nickel defense. One of the defensive backs is down. Tackles are always unofficial statistics, but that was Al Wilson's first tackle, official or unofficially.
What
an
tackle.
exclamation point.
What a tackle.
3rd and goal when we come back. Jimmy Johnson watching his Dolphins now try to punch it in. They had a lot of trouble doing it last year, as you saw. 3rd down and goal from the 1. They give it to Johnson. The rookie is in for the touchdown. So each of the rookie backs, Conrad and Johnson, have scored their first NFL touchdown.
After Kareem does all the hard work, they get to celebrate.
Right, one guy does the heavy lifting and the other guy gets the glory.
Well, probably the worst of all situations for Mike Shanahan is watching the Miami Dolphins come in here And you can see Conrad leading and Johnson just following and slithering his way into the end zone.
Nice block by Richmond Webb, who was a holdout until last week. And the kick is good as Orlando Mare bangs it through. The Dolphins have scored 24 straight points and lead Denver by 17. Little frustration on the Denver sideline. John Tierlink, one of the assistant coaches, the pass rush specialist, and Dan Marino looking over the photos. His team has scored 24 straight points to lead by 17.
They made some changes in the offseason, and we've seen those changes come to light tonight, especially Tony Martin and J.J. Johnson.
Denver needs a big play. Chris Watson, a good-looking rookie out of Eastern Illinois, just the type to provide it, perhaps, and he almost broke free, but the Dolphins corral him up at the 42-yard line.
He looks good. He looks good on special teams, but he's got a long way to go in the secondary.
Patrick Surtain slow in getting up. Let's go to Leslie Visser.
Al, there are now 16 names on the Ring of Fame here at Mile High, and our colleague is one of them, Tommy Jackson, the former linebacker. Tommy, of all your years with John, what stands out?
I think his consistency. You know, people talk about how great he was as a quarterback, but I thought the consistency that he showed game in, game out is what was able to carry the team year in and year out.
What about switch to your analyst role? What's happening here with your Broncos?
Well, you know, I said that I thought that Brian would be the known factor. He's a young quarterback starting his first game. You know, he is going to make mistakes. Now, I think he's played pretty well tonight. But the defense, they got used to giving up 24 points and winning games by 10. When you give up 24 now, it's going to be 24-7. So I think that they really have to hone things up, especially in the passing game. But in the second quarter, late second quarter, and now in the third quarter, Jimmy Johnson beginning to attack them with the run, and that demoralizes the defense.
He'll be over there with Mike Shanahan in a few minutes. Thank you, Tommy. Back to you guys.
Great analysis. Thank you, Leslie. On first down, this is Terrell Davis, and it's far too early to give up the running game. They've got to go back to the ground and have Davis pick up chunks of yardage.
Al, we saw a whole bunch of games yesterday change in the fourth quarter immediately, and teams coming back from 21-point deficits. There's no way in the world that the Denver Broncos are even close to being out of that. And what you saw there was just getting back to basics. Give it to Terrell, let him run up the middle, and what just an absolutely fabulous collision between he and Zach Thomas.
Miami's done a good job against Davis tonight. Terrell 34 yards on a dozen carries. And he chugs his way for 3 more here to the 48.
And you saw that little counterplay meaning the running back starts one way and then comes back against the grain. That was the play that just totally took Miami out of their game plan last year in the playoffs here. Now, also remember that Miami was missing a few starters. You can see here the running backs start one way to the right, and then everybody comes back, and you'll see a pulling guard leading out. Miami had trouble defending that last year, and you can see this time they're waiting for it, and Zach Thomas is there. That's the guy that they have to stop. Got to get somebody on him.
Greasy out of the gun, third down and a long 2. Ryan buys time, has the first down as he hits Chris Doring, a free agent pickup out of Florida, a kid who made the team with a good preseason and picks up his first reception of the night here.
So the one thing that you want to do now is just move him around a little bit, get him away from the pass rush, let him throw with a clear line of sight and not worry about getting hit. And this is where Brian Greasy will really find out how mature this kid is, because this is where the game is really, really difficult for the quarterback to manage.
We're going to see a lot of Doring because Rod Smith was hurt in the first half and has not been in. As Greasy throws, looks for Doring, who is covered. Flag comes in. Sam Madison with the coverage.
And they're going to call holding on Sam Madison. Again, coming into the game, we had asked Mike Shanahan and Jimmy Johnson about the play of the defensive backs on either other teams, and they were saying how these guys hold and they try to get away with it, but the officials are on it tonight.
Holding, 29, defense, first down.
Report on Rod Smith, by the way, a right groin pull, questionable return. And so you have McCaffrey and Sharp, of course, but now you go down to Marcus Nash and Chris Doring as your other receivers.
And you still have number 30 in the backfield.
Yes, you do. First down at the 39-yard line. 8:10 to go in the third. Miami leading by 17. Here's the blitz. Greasy throws. It's caught by Sharp. And Shannon taken out of bounds at the 33 by Calvin Jackson.
The interesting thing about the way the Miami Dolphins play defense, they literally have 9 out of 11 guys within 10 yards of the football. And guys like Shannon Sharpe and the wide receivers should have a lot of opportunities to make plays like this, outside, away from the safeties, and down the field. And we saw one big one in the first half. We also saw a drop by McCaffrey, but this is the type of thing that you're going to have to do against them. Take it quick and get rid of it.
The assistant head coach Dave Wannstedt spends the first half upstairs, second half on the sidelines. This is Davis swinging it to the outside, and staying right with him was Calvin Jackson when Terrell almost broke away. Jackson hung with him, takes him down by the shirt.
Went for a little ride there, too.
Davis last year, remember in that regular season game where they stymied him, that game meant nothing to Denver. They had clinched everything. Their unbeaten streak was snapped by the Giants the week before. In the postseason, of course, it means everything.
It sure does. And Miami came in here banged up. And also what Denver did is they changed some of their blocking schemes up at the line of scrimmage and got somebody on Zach Thomas in the running game.
3rd and 3, and Mike Shanahan calling a timeout. The type of thing you don't have to do with John Elway, but you do have to do with Brian Greasy after a start. 7:08 remaining in the third. Big 3rd and 3 coming up for Denver. Well, I wonder what this guy looks like. An available Boomer clone. Yeah.
Oh, please. Can he do the Dallas game while I go play somewhere else next week?
Oh, man. That's beautiful. This is a 3rd and 3, and after the timeout, they give it to Davis, and he can't get it. He is stopped at the 31 by Patrick Surtain.
I think they're going to go for it here.
And you're almost compelled to at this.
Yep.
Well,
no, they're going to go for it. He's going to go for it.
It's a 49-yard field goal attempt by Elam, which is certainly within his range in this thin air. But tonight, this is a key play in terms of really getting back.
No, this will tell us a lot if they actually do snap the ball here, and Brian Greasy is throwing it. This will tell you an awful lot about how Mike Shanahan, and he's got him in the shotgun. This could be the quarterback draw as well.
4th and 2, he sends Doring in motion. And the pass is caught as he goes to Doring. So the kid making his first start, Greasy, goes to Doring, a free agent who just does make the team with a good preseason, and that's a vital first down.
Not only does Mike Shanahan starting Brian Greasy tell you a lot, but to go on it in 4th and 2 in this part of the game and putting the man on the move, giving him one option to throw the football, tells you an awful lot about the confidence that Mike Shanahan has in his young quarterback.
First in at the 25-yard line. And Miami showing blitz that time, but flag stops the play before its inception. And then a lot of action after the play in the secondary as well.
Right to the snap. Ball start. Number 77. Offense. Still first down.
Tony Jones. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Dodge. Do not follow, do not conform, be different. Propecia. And by CNET, the source for computers and technology at CNET.com. And you can go to ESPN.com or NFL.com right now and try our enhanced TV during tonight's telecast. 6:08 remaining, clock ticking down 3rd quarter.
And here's the formation part of the offense for the Denver Broncos. Can they create mismatches?
This is a 1st and 15.
And there it is.
Greasy going for 6, and it's tipped and incomplete. Shannon Sharpe with Calvin Jackson step for step with him.
That's the matchup that you're looking for. You're looking for your big tight end who has speed, who has wide receiver speed and tight end strength, going against a strong safety, Calvin Jackson, down the side. What a nice play by Calvin Jackson to be able to have the athleticism to go up and knock the ball down while running full speed with the tight end like Shannon Sharpe.
2nd down 15 now from the 30-yard line. Greasy underneath. It is caught by Doring, but then he really pays the price. Gets smacked by Zach Thomas.
That guy is like the human missile out there.
Remember, he's the kid who had no chance to make the team. Late pick out of Texas Tech 4 years ago, and now he has just signed a gazillion-dollar contract.
Well, I don't know about gazillion, but the way he throws his body around out there, I don't know how much longer he's going to last. That time, the last play, Greasy gave Doring a chance to get away from Buckley, who slipped on the turf. And you can see right here, this is the pass blocking going on, and Greasy does a nice job of delivering the ball in the face of the rush. And Doring does a nice job of getting away from Buckley, but getting hammered by Zach.
3rd down and 6 from the 21. Here they come. The Dolphins on the blitz, and it's caught by Davis. So they go to Terrell Davis as a receiver for the first time and move the chains. First down at the 13-yard line.
Another great throw by Brian Griese, a slant this time to his halfback. Not many halfbacks can run this route, but look at the accuracy and the tight spiral on this ball. In his body, away from the defender, and Davis does a terrific job of shielding Sam Madison from the ball.
Broncos not shying going Madison's way tonight. Sometimes with a great corner, you never give many action. A la Dion, but a lot of action toward Madison's corner tonight. Davis for 2 takes it to the 11. Brian Griese, 24 years old. You think of Gary Kubiak, who's their offensive coordinator. Gary could have been the coach at Colorado, at the university in Boulder, but he turned that job down. Had he taken the job, he would have been coaching Mike Machete, a quarterback there, who is actually 4 days older than Brian Griese.
Well, Gary Kubiak is one of the bright young stars in the NFL in the coaching ranks. He will someday find himself the head man on the sideline in the NFL.
2nd down 8 from the 11. The blitz again. Griese hangs in and is lucky it wasn't picked off by Sam Madison. And it was Zach Thomas again who puts Griese in that position.
Well, Brian will learn when you're down here, you want to throw the ball a little bit higher to your taller receiver. Again, shows great courage of standing in there. Zach Thomas, once again, is flying around. You can see it's a blitz. They don't have enough guys to block. And here comes Zach right up the middle, and Brian knows he's going to get hit. So you have to have courage to stand in there. But also a little bit of experience will help you. You can throw a little bit higher and let your taller receiver, McCaffrey, out rebound the shorter defender.
Another key 3rd down. It's always key when you're down by 17 with about 18 minutes to play in the game. 3rd down and 8.
Run.
Griese, he has room to run, but he throws instead, and it's caught by McCaffrey for the touchdown.
I don't know, Al, what else you could say about the kid. He's doing everything that they're asking him. He's been getting hit. He's standing in there. He's moving around. He's not getting flustered. He's keeping his eyes up. And the thing that is really remarkable is the poise and the accuracy at which he has thrown the football.
Absolutely. That's McCaffrey's 5th catch, 2nd for a touchdown. Elam for the point after. And the crowd gets back in it as the kick is good. 3:42 remaining in the 3rd. The Broncos needed 7. Get 7. 24-14 Dolphins. And Brock again. It was pretty quiet in here, the quietest I've ever heard it.
And this is where the crowd really gets into it. And the special teams for the Denver Broncos need to make a play somewhere here. If they can get a fumble, puts them right back in it.
Jason Elam fielded at the 8-yard line by John Avery. And Avery, their 3rd down back, brings it back up to the 30. Thomas gets into it with Darius Johnson.
It goes to show you how important special teams are for the Miami Dolphins when you have your best tackler on the kickoff return team blocking.
Is reminded the season premiere of Drew Carey is full of big surprises and the small ones. That's Wednesday, September 22nd, right here on ABC.
Did you see where our man Drew Carey was last night?
I certainly did. He opened up the helped open up the new Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Sure, he did a great job. Well, here you go. You can hear the fans now really getting into it, becoming literally the 12th man for the Denver Bronco defense.
First down from the 29-yard line. The rookie J.J. Johnson to the 35-yard line. Again, we talked about J.J. Johnson before. They picked him up out of Mississippi State in the 2nd round. They drafted Collins in the 5th. They love Collins. They love Johnson as well. But this kid was hurt during all of training camp. Didn't have 1 carry in a preseason game. And you're asking
a rookie to carry the load right now in a very crucial part of the game.
Right.
And Jimmy Johnson makes no bones about it. Get in there, kid. You're playing.
With a rookie fullback.
Right.
We're looking at a fullback and a tailback playing in their first NFL games. One follows the other, and Johnson gets tackled by Mobley up at the 37-yard line. It's going to be 3rd down and about 2.
So you want to know why the Miami Dolphins have wanted a running game? It's for situations like this. You have to take the crowd out of the game. You have to be able to run the football. You have to be able to run some play action passes, take the pressure off your quarterback, who's been dealing with pressure his whole career. But it makes it a little bit easier for Dan Marino to function when you're able to run the football.
Greg Robinson looking at his defensive unit. They need to dig in here. 3rd down and 2 at the 37. Johnson puts his head down, is close. Stopped by Mobley. Very important measurement.
You can see Dan Marino right there telling John, just go straight ahead. Don't try to dance on plays like this. Just go forward. And Mobley and Johnson had a tremendous collision.
I think he had a double meaning with that. He's also hoping he's got the first down.
He was looking at, he said he could just hit the hole. Hit the hole. Don't waste any time. Just get up there. A lot of times a veteran quarterback like that can tell the young kid, hey, look, you need 2 for a first down. Don't be dancing. Just get through the middle.
And this one is going to be that short. And that's going to compel Miami to punt.
It's the right thing to do. I mean, you got to play the percentage. And your defense is playing really well.
So the rookie Brent Bartholomew to punt. Miami had scored on its last 4 possessions. Now Chris Watson back to receive the kick. One rookie punting to another. Nice angle kick. Watson nowhere to go. No blocking, no run back. O.J. Brigance was down there for the tackle. And so Denver has Al Michaels with Boomer Esiason and Leslie Visser. Our 30th season of Monday Night Football. Next week we go to Dallas, where the Cowboys, off that scintillating comeback yesterday, take on Atlanta.
Finally, you get a chance to see him throw the ball a little bit.
5 touchdowns for Troy. Overtime win against the Falcons next Monday. Greasy starts with a toss to Davis. And Terrell up to the 21-yard line for a gain of 3.
When you watch the Miami defense and you watch those safeties come flying out of the middle, you wonder, like a little pitch back pass or something, flicker play would be huge down the middle. You would think somebody would get open. Those safeties are geared to stop the run. They're so close to the line of scrimmage that between Calvin Jackson and Brock Marion that Jimmy wants them to be part of their extended linebacking corps.
2nd down and 7.
So now you have Shannon Sharp covered down here by a linebacker. Here it comes.
And Greasy going that way as Sharp runs an out, and he catches it at the 29, and that's a first down, tackled there by the linebacker Derek Rogers.
And now I've been saying it, it's about formations, it's about spreading the defense of the Miami Dolphins out. Again, while when you can have a safety cover him, it's a little bit better athletically. It's an equal matchup, but look at the big old stiff linebacker has to try to make plays and cover him, and he's just too hard to cover for those guys. And here they go again. They're going to spread them out, and they're going to try to create those matchups. And this time, they have a safety, Calvin Jackson, covering him.
On the 29-yard line, blitz again. Thomas knocks Greasy down, and the pass is dropped up at the 38-yard line. 2nd down and 10.
Those are the chances you take when you spread out like that. You only have 5 guys left to block.
Ooh.
And the Miami Dolphins, and there's Terrell Davis on the sideline looking like he's a little nicked.
He's been bothered by a shoulder problem in preseason.
But there it is. That's the same blitz that the Dolphins have been bringing all evening. And one of the reasons they're getting there is because they're only blocking 5 and they're bringing 6, and nobody's there to pick up Zach Thomas.
2nd down and 10 now. You've got Derek LaVille in the game, the backup to Davis, and this is Derek, the ex-49er, and what a backup he is. Derek LaVelle's first carry of the night is a first down to the 50, tackled by Jones, and that's the way the 3rd quarter is going to end. On an upbeat note for the Denver Broncos, who have gotten back into it. And that will be the end of the 3rd quarter with the score Miami 24, Denver 14, and Monday Night Football returns after this from our ABC stations.
You can see right here Tom Nalen taking off. blocking Zach Thomas, and that's why Derek LaVille gets through the middle like that. Block the best tackler in the NFL, and you can get some yardage on him.
And that pass is thrown as the fourth quarter commences behind Byron Chamberlain on 1st and 10 from the 49-yard line. So the fourth quarter, 15 minutes to go. The Broncos have won 24 consecutive regular season home games. At no point have they trailed by 10 points coming into any fourth quarter. By the way, during that streak, if you're wondering, Mike Shanahan's only sad retreat from the field would have been the playoff game with Jacksonville in '96. Otherwise, they might have won 3 Super Bowls in a row and looking for 4 because they were the best team in the league going into that game.
Here it comes again.
2nd and 10. Greasy off his back foot is throwing deep, and that's knocked away. Intended for Chamberlain, knocked away by Jackson, and no flag.
Interesting, Al, how Miami has changed its defensive tactics early in the game. They let Brian Greasy sit back there. They didn't blitz him, and since that time, since the 1-yard down, they have blitzed him, and they're bringing the blitz, and a couple times that blitz has forced him to underthrow the ball, and you could see the bump right there against Chamberlain. And again, another hit, although it's not that bad. But the ball is not getting out there far enough because he has to retreat while he's throwing it as opposed to stepping into it like he did in the first quarter when nobody was in his face.
3rd down and 10. Corner blitz. This time it's Sharp. Great move, but it doesn't net him the first down. He picks up 8. He gets it to the 41. It's going to be 4th and 2. Jason Taylor was the guy who spun around.
Interesting dilemma right here, whether they go for it or not. It looks like they are going to go for it.
And Terrell Davis
is back on the field
on 4th down and a short 2.
You know, to go back to that other play before, you want to get in Jimmy Johnson's doghouse pretty quickly. Miss a tackle.
Yes.
Jerry Wilson missed the tackle on Shannon Sharp. But luckily, his teammates pursued and made the play.
Huge 4th down, 4th and 2 from the 41-yard line.
There's the blitz.
He converted before, and this time, no! Here they come, and it's Zach Thomas with Miami's biggest defensive play of the night.
That's the 3rd time that they've gone to that play, and this time the Miami Dolphins overplayed it, and once again, Zach Thomas blitzed, and they are not sitting back. They're going after him.
George Hill, the defensive coordinator, he loves Zach. So does Jimmy Johnson. First sack in tonight's game by either team. And what a time. Miami takes over on downs from the 50. Marino begins this drive with a handoff to J.J. Johnson for no gain. Tackled by Keith Traylor. After the game, a reminder, tune to ESPN SportsCenter Monday Night Football postgame show with live reports and analysis.
Well, they'll have a lot to talk about. The one thing that the Miami Dolphins do not want to do right now is become too predictable, too conservative. There's too much time. And with the way the Denver defense is piling up at the line of scrimmage, some big plays could be happening downfield if they go for it.
2nd down and 10. And Marino finds the open man, and it's the tight end Drayton, and he bangs his way inside the 40, and that's a 1st down, tackled by John Mobley.
That's exactly the type of thing. They're going to gamble a little bit on defense. That time they brought a corner blitz to Danny's backside. They were faking the run one way. He came out, coolly delivered the ball to Drayton. These are the types of plays that you need to be making at this point in the game. Do not sit on the ball. You could say a little fake there, not a great fake. Not known for his fakes. About everything else, but he's not a great ball faker.
There's a fabulous rusher, though, isn't he?
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, he's got great legs.
1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. Abdul-Jabbar picking up 3, tackled by Mobley. Jimmy Johnson, among other things, this offseason retired for a day and then got married. He was going to have a party. He had a party for all of his friends and the front office staff before the start of training camp. And then he and his longtime girlfriend, Rhonda Rookmaker, about 5 hours into the party, go upstairs. He says to Dave Wanstead, come up with me. Rhonda gets her best friend. And that man right there, the Dolphins security man, Sue Weinstein, that man is a notary public, marries them upstairs. And then Jimmy comes down with Rhonda and announces we're newlyweds. And that's how Jimmy got married. 2nd down and 7. And that is caught by Tony Martin for a first down.
And now I was telling you, that's how you can have big plays down the field if you could just keep them out, run it off the play action. And Danny Marino is experienced enough to know to get it out on the sideline, and he picks his spots. And this is exactly why they got Tony Martin as a free agent. They wanted him downfield. They like his size. You could see. Here's the play action right up the middle. Watch the blocking. You can see Danny Marino throw the ball nicely. Still has the arm.
First down and 10. Martin has caught 4 balls for 101 yards. Abdul-Jabbar, nothing happening. Tackled by Wilson. Just a postscript to the Johnson marriage. We talked with Jimmy before the game. They were married in their bathing suits.
Yes.
And I didn't even know a notary public could marry you. But
and what do you say? Say, you take him?
You take him?
her?
Yep.
All right, you're married? Okay.
You're married? Celebrate. Dance to the music.
Well, I sensed before the game and talking to them and their coaches that the Miami Dolphins really felt like they had a real good opportunity to win in this football game, and they certainly have shown that thus far.
Second down and 10. Marino. He throws, and it's McDuffie makes the catch at the 2-yard line. First down, first and goal. O.J. McDuffie last year led the league in receptions, yet didn't go to the Pro Bowl, which is an oddity.
Well, they had a lot of unique things happen to them regarding the Pro Bowl, but again, off the play action pass, the defense is looking run down here. And this is what they call a comeback. You go down about 12 yards and you come back down the sideline. The quarterback throws it away from the defender. It's a good, easy, safe pass, especially when it's one-on-one on the outside.
They'd like to go to J.J. Johnson in goal line. They showed that earlier, and he's in there right now. He's already scored once tonight. Can he make it 2? No. Mobley comes up along with his pal Keith Traylor. Traylor is still down. Keith Traylor, one of the good defensive tackles in the league. He and Trevor Price do a great job against the run, and he's going to need some help.
Well, there's Greg Robinson, defensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos. He's got to figure out a way to stop this Miami Dolphin offense, and which has been pretty impressive this second half, and certainly mixing in the play action passes to the running downs, being non-conservative.
And on Sunday, September 26th, don't forget, a new show will debut here on ABC. It is called Snoops. And that happens right before the practice on ABC. Keith Traylor comes off. Mike Lodish spells him along the defensive front. It is second down and goal. Marino bark signals out of the gun. And throws, and it is caught by McDuffie for the touchdown.
What a terrific play design, and what a great call, and what a nice throw and catch by O.J. McDuffie and Dan Marino. They ran Drayton up middle. He took 2 defenders with him, and McDuffie comes right underneath, and Danny throws it right into his body. It was a good play design. Give Kippy Brown a lot of credit, the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins.
410th touchdown pass of Marino's career, and each one just adds to his own record. And the kick by Mate is good. With 9:31 left in the fourth quarter in Denver, the visiting Dolphins lead the champs 31-14. Back in Denver, where Miami leads by 17, and rarely has this stadium, which is in its next to last year of existence, been this quiet. They're building a brand new stadium. They just started construction in the parking lot here. That'll be open in 2001. This is Chris Watson taking the Mate kick. And Watson, the rookie from Eastern Illinois, gets tackled by the kicker, Mare, up at the 45, but there's a marker down all the way back at the 20-yard line. And Watson a little slow in getting up, and Mate also shaken on the play. And 99 times out of 100 in this situation is going to come back.
Well, everybody seems to be inside the 10-yard line right now.
There is no infraction on the play. The block was from the side.
Oh, now they're going to go back. Well, that's good. I mean, that's the official throws the flag, thinks he sees An illegal block.
It has a conversation. You see Jimmy Johnson is
apoplectic.
He almost hit somebody with his headset.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in, Jimmy is leading by 17.
You going to tell me that he wants to quit?
He may after this. Jimmy is good in any game for one or two good volcanic outbursts.
And once again, the hair doesn't move.
It does not.
Never moves.
From the 37-yard line, this is Davis. Up to the 40 goes Terrell. 2nd and 7.
You know, again, I go back to yesterday when there were 5 games, I believe, that the winning team ultimately had to come from behind.
Not only that, but 4 games ended in the last 15 seconds, and another game ended in overtime.
Right, exactly. And when you look back, what is the common thread through all that? You had 5 great quarterbacks on the 5 winning teams that brought their teams back from deficits. And that's why everybody in this league wants quarterbacks. They want guys that can forget what happened and somehow find a way to win.
2nd and 7. That is Chamberlain making the catch, and that's a first down. Take a look at the 4 games. Favre's drive was just beyond magnificent yesterday to beat the Raiders. Brett leading him to that incredible win. Titans beat the Bengals after they had blown a huge lead.
Steve McNair.
Right. Patriots over the Jets with a Vinatieri field goal in a wild game. Jake the Snake. We're going to see Plummer in 2 weeks as Arizona hosts San Francisco, and Phoenix 25-24. And then that note at the bottom, 4 games won in the final 15 seconds of the 4th quarter, plus the overtime Dallas-Washington game. First down, and this is Lavelle. Derek takes it to the 40. Gary Kubiak. Now they have to begin with that word again, alacrity. Here we go.
That's right. They have to move quickly. They have to get in and out of the huddle. They have to get the plays in. They do not have much time to spend in the huddle. And maybe this is a spot where your young QB might not be as efficient as an older quarterback who can get him in and out and realize, you know, why you need to get in and out quickly.
Need to move a little more dispatch than they just did right there. 2nd down and a short one. Fake toss, pressure on, but he gets it away, and it's a first down. Chamberlain tackled there by Sean Wooden at the 35.
Again, I don't want to belabor this point, but the guys standing around, they're not moving quickly. It just doesn't seem like it just doesn't look like the team that we saw at the end of last year that was headed to the Super Bowl.
Well, this is a team not used to being down by 17.
But it's also a team that doesn't panic. That's the other sense that you can look at. They're wasting about 10 to 15 seconds every time when they can get to the line of scrimmage a lot quicker.
1st and 10 at the 34-yard line. This is Davis. Finds a crease, and the last man with a chance to knock him down is Wooden, and he gets him.
This guy still has energy, and one of the reasons that he is as great as he is he makes guys miss. That time he ran through 2 guys trying to tackle him at once.
And this is Patrick Surtain, who is hurt.
Well, he actually ran right through 2 defensive backs that tried to sandwich him, and there's no way that you're going to stop Terrell Davis with a head of steam.
So Surtain, that's the 2nd time he's been down now in the last few minutes. 6:42 remaining in regulation. Denver trailing by 17. After the injury timeout, Patrick Surtain back on the Miami sideline. It is 1st down 10 for the Denver Broncos at the Miami 21.
The officials just put 10 seconds back on the clock, on the game clock. And the way the Broncos are kind of just moseying around here, they need every second they can get.
And after an injury timeout, they start the clock as they do here. Greasy throws to the end zone and almost pulled in. Sharp had body position on Jackson that time, but couldn't make the catch.
Ooh. And you could see as Greasy was rolling out, he was being pursued by Derek Rogers, and this is the speed. This is the speed of the Miami Dolphin defense that makes them so good. And here he comes around the corner unblocked, and you could see this big linebacker getting around. And again, Brian can sense him. That's the other thing that quarterbacks have. They have that 6th sense where they can make a play, but Shannon Sharp usually makes that catch.
2nd down and 10 at the 21-yard line. Greasy fumbles and then recovers it himself to keep the ball, but lose it down and a couple of yards as well.
Going to hang with your center, have to stay under there. He knows that they're blitzing, so he's trying to get out quicker than normal, but you have to stay with your center. You have to ride and keep the ball.
And Denver has to take a timeout with a 3rd and 12 upcoming. And Terrell Davis showing his frustration. Monday Night Football is brought to you by Miller Lite. Taste a true Pilsner. Dell, innovative computer solutions from the company that pioneered direct around the world. Be direct Dell. When you have it your way, it just tastes better. And Monster.com, there's a better job out there.
Is there really a better job out there, Al?
Not in my eyes, there isn't. No. Absolutely not. Sunday Night Football on ESPN. The Jets against Buffalo. From Buffalo, each team trying to get on track after yesterday. And we take our act next Monday night to Texas Stadium, Irving, Texas. The Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys next week on Monday Night Football.
Speaking of the New York Jets, they did lose Vinny Testaverde. He underwent surgery for his Achilles. It is not a career-ending surgery. Dan Marino had one. So did Jumbo Elliott. We fully expect him to be back next year and ready to go.
3rd down and 12. Greasy for the end zone. Underthrows it. Knocked down. Nearly picked off. Looking again for McCaffrey. But Sam Madison got there, and there's a flag down. Flag at the 15-yard line.
It's going to be against Denver. It's going to be pass interference against the Denver Broncos. One thing Brian Griese will learn as he gets older is that he can really just let the ball fly. He doesn't always have to be so perfect with it. And I think a couple times here he's just tried to lay it in there so perfectly. Just let it go and let it get it out to your receivers and let them make a play on it.
How long does that take for a quarterback to learn that?
You just have to get comfortable with the whole.
Interference. 87. Offense. It's decline. 4th down.
McCaffrey pushing off.
McCaffrey actually has Madison beat badly, and Brian just has to throw it out and just let it go and get out there. And it takes a while to get used to knowing where your receivers are going to be. And you can see right here at the top of your screen, watch the push off right there in the pull by. He has them beat and just lets it hang.
And you're down by 17, so at some point you need a field goal. They'll go for it here on 4th down and 12. It's the right call to make. But it's no good. He missed it from 41 yards. So Shanahan facing a 4th down and 12, knowing you need 17 points. So at some point you do need the 3. Figured he'd get it there. And Jason Elam, a Pro Bowl kicker, tonight has had a 44-yarder block, and he has missed on a 41-yarder. And this place is dead silent.
Al, when we were walking around on the field before the game, I just had the sense that something wasn't right for the Denver Broncos. And maybe it's because John Elway is not in uniform. I don't know. But it just seemed like the Broncos were flat, maybe a little bit overconfident. But I also sensed from the Miami Dolphins that they really felt that they could come in here and win tonight. And I didn't realize that they would get up this far this quickly. But certainly give your credit to Jimmy Johnson and Dan Marino and the entire Miami Dolphins team.
1st down from the 31-yard line, and Dan can start working the clock right now out of a tight formation here. And he gives the ball off to Abdul-Jabbar. Flag comes in at the end of the play.
And that's going to be holding on the Miami Dolphins. I think they're going to call holding on Troy Drayton, I believe.
Holding. 89. Offense. Still 1st down.
Ed Perry, the other tight end, and let's go to Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Al, Floyd Little was known for his remarkable running style and his equally strong work ethic. He was, of course, one of the most famous number 44s. You referred before, Al, to the Orangemen of Syracuse. He carried the load here in Denver for 9 years, and now he's back to help honor John Elway. Floyd, what are your strongest memories of John Elway?
Just his leadership abilities and all the things he did for not only Denver, but the National Football League. I think John's name is synonymous with success all over the world.
They could probably use a little bit of him tonight. What about Terrell Davis? He's breaking all of your records.
He's got a couple more to go, but he has had a great career here in a very short period of time. He's got some good help on the offensive line. He's got some great receivers. God bless him.
Well, they've retired only 3 numbers here. Number 44 is one of them. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Leslie. And a lot of those Ring of Honor guys are all here tonight, and all of them wanted to send their very best to another man, Goose Gonsolin, who's not in the greatest of health right now. Goose unable to be here. Played with the Broncos from their inception in 60 through 66, and you see his name there, and the guys want to make sure that Goose knows they're thinking about him. Second down and long from the 23-yard line. Abdul-Jabbar again.
As we talk about John Elway and his retirement and the party that they threw for him tonight, I just marvel at Dan Marino and his ability to have the passion for this game of football that is just nothing but struggle after struggle, year in and year out. And you can take a look at his numbers. An efficient, solid game by one of the all-time greats, and really that is quite remarkable.
Well, 100 pass rating is great. You normally win the game,
right.
and only against the Broncos has he done it over what amounts to a season plus this. Third down with J.J. Johnson on 3rd and 17. They're just taking time off the clock, and not only do they take time off the clock, they pick up about 12 yards. Braxton makes the tackle. It's 4th down. You cannot minimize the significance of a Bronco win, or of a Dolphin win. If they win this game, you have not only gone on the road and beaten a team at home that never loses at home. In fact, for 3 years they haven't lost a game here. But your primary contender in your division has just lost its quarterback for the year, the Jets. Another contender has lost a game yesterday, Buffalo to Indianapolis. New England is a team that, you only fear to a certain extent, minus Robert Edwards with a lot of question marks. And there's Indianapolis, an up-and-coming team, but a young team. And here you are, having gone into Denver, beaten the Broncos with the Testaverde thing, and nobody wants to see anybody hurt, but a fact is a fact. I mean, the Jets are severely diminished by what happened yesterday.
Without question, the 2 big winners yesterday are this weekend, probably, if the Dolphins hang on, are the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. I mean, you go into these teams that are expected to fight for the Super Bowl, and you win in their home stadium.
5 of the last 12 Super Bowl champions, as you can see, losing in their opening game the following year. Each of them on Monday Night Football, and we're about to make it 6. Well, Bartholomew's kick, fair caught by Watson at the 24-yard line. Denver does not have a timeout. 4:08 left in regulation. And Mile High starting the linebacker, quiet night, 1 tackle, but not a quiet last couple of weeks for him. I'm sure many of you read it. It was a huge story here for a while, but it's died down. They're considering charges against Bill, his wife's friend, and a doctor for possession of an illegal prescription drug. So Romanowski on the sideline with plenty on his mind over the last fortnight as Greasy gets pressured, loses the ball, picked up. No, Jason Taylor almost picked it up. Now he gets it and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. It was stripped by Rich Owens, picked up by Jason Taylor on the second try, and in he goes for the coup de grace.
Well, the learning process continues, and they get to Brian Greasy this time without the blitz. And this guy here, he's just too good looking to be a defensive lineman, by the way, Al.
What's he doing, signing autographs?
He might be. I don't know. He's a big, tall, rangy defensive end. Comes right around the corner, beats number 77, Jones. Owens is in there. This is not the fault of Brian Greasy. This is just an active defensive front on the part of the Miami Dolphins.
Mate for the point after. That goes as an 18-yard sack, a fumble, and a touchdown. 3:56. Greasy's had an okay night in some respects, Boomer. If you're Mike Shanahan, I mean, has the lot been completely cast right now? They go to Kansas City next week.
No, he's still your starting quarterback. He's played well tonight. He's not had a bad game. The defense has not done anything for the Broncos. I mean, the Miami Dolphins come in here with an offense that had struggled to run. Not a great passing offense the way that we used to know it. There's Bubby Brister. I don't think Brian Greasy did anything to hurt himself. You have to have good special teams play. He didn't block for the field goal. He didn't block for the punt. And he delivered the ball confidently. And there's Chris Miller, the third team quarterback. And Chris had a fantastic game against the 49ers in the last preseason game here. So I don't necessarily know that the quarterback position is, well, I know it's not the problem here. The problem here is really when you look up at the scoreboard, 38 points.
Yep.
And the defense, I guess, literally gave up 31 of those 38 points.
Well, the Dolphins in one fell swoop on one night may have vaulted into a position along with the Jaguars as the primary contenders in the AFC.
Well, it's a long way to go, and I always tell you it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Right.
And ultimately injuries usually dictate what happens to teams. So
ask the Jets.
Exactly.
Well, they don't have the answer yet, but it's not good. Touchback. Let's go to Leslie.
Al, it was an agonizing day last April 20th for running backs coach for Joel Collier, the running backs coach, when he learned that his niece, Stephanie Hummel, was trapped in Columbine High School in the choir room for more than 4 hours during the bloodbath. Stephanie said that with the help of her family, her uncle, her friends, she has moved past this. Joel, who lived in Littleton, Colorado for 20 years, said he did not know that Stephanie was completely safe until he saw her leaving the school on television. Stephanie said that most of all now she realizes, Al, how precious life is.
Oh, boy. All right, thank you, Leslie. I'll bet as the carry is out to the 24 by LaVille. In fact, the Broncos are wearing a small insignia with the colors of Columbine High School. And there it is. You can see it right there, the blue indicative of the Columbine flower, the state flower,
the ribbon
of Colorado. And there is the Bronco tribute to that awful day in April. 2nd and 5 from the 24. Greasy throws, and it is caught by Howard Griffith up to the 31. So just playing out the string right now are the Broncos, who get ready for a short week and a trip to Kansas City and Arrowhead Stadium on Sunday.
And Kansas City had a rough opening yesterday against the Chicago Bears. Dick Duran gets his first win in Chicago. And I'm sure Gunther Cunningham is going to have his team revved up. Most of the guys are probably watching tonight. Brian Greasy now just has to sit in the pocket, deliver the ball, don't force things, just continue to try to move the football team, look at the films tomorrow, and then try to decide where they can improve.
Griffith up to the 46. The Dolphins, meanwhile, go home. They'll face Arizona in their home opener Sunday. The Dolphins will go partially home, we understand, tonight, as you look at Marino, with Hurricane Floyd off the Florida coast. And we're not going to be the Weather Channel right here. I don't know exactly where it is at the moment, but it was our understanding before the game that the Dolphins might land in Fort Myers and then bus home.
And they are going to land in Fort Myers, and it will be a 2-hour bus ride down to or over to Fort Lauderdale.
This is caught by LaVille, and he's out of bounds at the 39 as we hit the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to go, and in a way it's a shocker. The match construction already underway. The brand new stadium to house the Broncos, ready in 2001, right next to Mile High. They're going to tear down Mile High. Along the way, they're also going to tear down the McNichols Arena because they have the new Pepsi Center that opens up. So a lot of construction and demolition going on right there. There are the cranes, and McNichols is beyond the scoreboard. And the Avalanche and the Nuggets will play in the Pepsi Center this season. And last night, the McNichols Center hosted his last concert, and it would figure the last concert should be ZZ Top.
What was the first concert, wasn't it?
No, the first concert should have been ABBA, right? I mean, if it ends with ZZ Top, you start with I don't know.
Oh, I see where you're going.
You know where I'm going.
You're beautiful. You're so happy with yourself right now.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
You're hip is what you are.
Yeah, right. I'm hip and trendy. The last song I remember the words to is Don't Hang Up by the Orlons. Well, for John Elway, it was a big night, but not for the Broncos. And John in repose right now, and he and his family, he has a beautiful family. Wife Janet had her own health problems last year, and happy to report that she's great. From the 39-yard line, here is LaVille. And Derek picks up a first down.
And you can see who's running after him is Zach Thomas. There's no give up in him. He's going to go until the final whistle blows. That is the leader of the Miami Dolphin defense, and the key to the defense is to get somebody on him if you want to run against the Miami Dolphins. He is a very sure tackler. He's the signal caller, and he is the heart and soul of that side of the football for the Miami Dolphins.
And Pat Bowlen, the owner so used to hoisting Super Bowl trophies in recent times, making his way to the sideline. 1st and 10. And that is into traffic and caught. Chamberlain hanging with it. Byron Chamberlain. Greasy also goes down. 1st down at the 5.
Well, Brian Greasy's taken an awful lot of pops back there, but Brian Chamberlain has shown us something in preseason, has certainly shown us something here. He'll catch the ball in traffic, and he knows he's going to get hit. We saw this earlier from John Avery dropping the football, but you know you can make a play like that. And once again, there's Jason Taylor back there just ragdolling Brian Greasy. That's just the way it goes.
1st and goal from the 4. Lavelle. For 1. You saw Pat Bowlen ran into Edgar Kaiser, who owned the team before the game when Elway was actually procured in that trade after Baltimore drafted him, and it was Edgar who got Elway and then sold the team to Bowlen for the equivalent of about $90 million in the mid-'80s. In the meantime, right now the Dolphins are trying to avoid the largest opening day loss by a defending Super Bowl champion. Dallas lost at Washington in '93. The mitigating circumstances of that loss, no Emmitt Smith. And this is caught for a touchdown. So McCaffrey has the hat trick. That's 3 for Ed tonight, but a Pyrrhic one.
Well, when you think back about this game, you're going to think back about drop passes. You're going to think back to block kicks, miscues on special teams. But I honestly believe that Brian Greasy represented himself well. And this is not an easy throw. This is an out pattern down here. You have to make sure that the defender is off your receiver and delivered the ball accurately and on time. And that time Brian did that.
Elam for the extra point. Just an asterisk. McCaffrey tying a Bronco team mark with 3 touchdown receptions in 1 game.
If you look at Greasy's numbers, he's 24-40 for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. And I'm sure that, as you can see, Kubiak, his offensive coordinator, talking to him. I mean, it's not a bad rating, but again, you know, ratings are not what's important. What's important is winning. And I'm sure that there are mistakes that he's made, but he's also done well. And I'm sure Kubiak is telling him that you did well tonight, kid. You need some help. You got to have help from defense. You got to have help from special teams. You can't do it all by yourself.
When you said ratings aren't important, our sales department had a collective heart attack. In football,
it has a different type of rating.
Right. 34 seconds remaining. We go to Dallas next week. Looking forward to that very much. Always a treat at Texas Stadium on a Monday. You've never been there on a Monday night, right?
No, I've never been there. And an interesting thing about Dallas, the league tomorrow, NFL, will announce the situation regarding Leon Lett. And what his future holds, whether or not he will be suspended, and if he is suspended, how long will he be suspended?
Clearly there is a suspension in his future. The question about Dallas next week, will Dion play? He might. And for Atlanta, will Chris Chandler play with the pulled hamstring? And that is still in doubt. We understand that they're going to have to obviously work on it, and then by Thursday or Friday, Dan Reeves should have a better idea. Onside kick obviously coming up here. And with the good hands people out there, that's when you put people like your wide receivers, and that's O.J. McDuffie.
You know, when you're exposed like that, like O.J. McDuffie was, and you have about 8 guys missiling down on you, you have to feel like you are up in the air for about 4 or 5 seconds when literally it's only about a second.
Last home loss, December of '95 to Seattle. And it's incredible to see Mile High Stadium with a football game still in progress and so few people in the seats. And for Jimmy Johnson, well, a guy who almost retired in January. Remember, 7 boxes from his office were in the trunk of his car.
Oh, you know, he left this stadium now, and he was demoralized after just getting trounced by the Broncos in the playoffs, but certainly has come back.
Yep. Dolphins 300th win in the history of their franchise came in 1966. And for Mike Shanahan, the first time he leaves this field in a long time with that sort of look, as the Dolphins head home to face Arizona next week. with a 38-21 victory over the Denver Broncos.
I hope we don't do.
Two of the very best exchanging acknowledgments there. And as the Dolphins fly east with a win in hand, will return. We'll be back at Mile High Stadium in Denver with the play of the game. John Elway night, but the Miami Dolphins come away with the win. And here is the CNET.com play of the game. It came at a point when Denver was trying to get back in it. They'd made it 24-14, and the Broncos are on the move. But here came Zach Thomas. Such an active night. He'd had only 4.5 sacks in his first 3 years in the league. He sacks Greasy there, and the Miami Dolphins coast home with the win. There's Zach with Leslie.
Al, Jimmy Johnson had said they had to prove that they could play quality defense on the road. That they certainly did. Tell us about the sack.
Well, it was a 4th down play, and I had Terrell Davis man-to-man, and they ran that play a couple times, and I just came off the corner. And when he tried to block a lineman, I came free, and I just took him to the ground. You know, it was a great play, you know, first game of the year, and hopefully we can keep this up and start winning on the road.
What was so different from this game from last January? Must have felt a lot better.
Well, I mean, you know, first of all, John Elway's a little different, but they got a great offense, and they really ran the ball good on us, but we didn't break at times, and I think we came through, and hopefully we can do this for the rest of the season. We'll see them again. We'll definitely see them in the playoffs. I know that for sure. And they got a great offensive line, great offense, so you know they're going to have something for us like they did last time.
Mike Shanahan said they had to identify you during the game. How were you able to have 8 tackles and 1 sack?
Well, you know, they let me come free a little bit. I got a lot of pressures on Greasy, and I think, you know, if we get pressure on him, he rattles a little bit. But he's a great, smart quarterback. He did a good job today, though.
So did you. Congratulations, Zach. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Leslie. We're on our way to Texas now, where the Cowboys next Monday night will be hosting the Atlanta Falcons. It's our 30th season of Monday Football continues. Final score here. The Miami Dolphins win at the 8-21. Al Michaels for Boomer Esiason and Leslie Visser saying good night from Denver. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Now stay tuned to ABC for your late local news or other programming. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence.